Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. You might be aware, Unacademy, this is India's largest and the best online education platform. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? Ladies and gentlemen, if that's going to be your question, of course, you've got daily live classes. You can chat with your educator, and you can engage in all-round productive discussions with your educators, and you can also ask all your genuine doubts and participate in the answer polls. All those things you can do when the session's going on. And you got structured courses here which is completely based on UPSC civil service examination pattern and syllabus as well, so that you stay on track. We ensure that you save your time and energy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not only that one particular point we are keep on emphasizing. It's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff, because delivery matters. For that, we have got a mechanism to evaluate your preparation, especially in terms of various levels. By conducting regular mock tests and quiz programs, ladies and gentlemen, you get a detailed analysis based on your performance. You come to know where you are strong, where you are weak, and also the time you have taken in solving a particular question. Ladies and gentlemen, once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, you got unlimited access, more than 1 million videos part of Unacademy waiting there for you. Whatever may be your electronic device, whether it is mobile phone, laptop, desktop, ladies and gentlemen, you can learn from anywhere, anytime, irrespective of your electronic device. Yes, what you have to do for that, please download Unacademy learning app immediately. Whether it is Android or iOS, ladies and gentlemen, once you download, you're ready to access all those benefits what we have enlisted in front of you. Right? So, not only that, who is this interacting with you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Sampath from Chennai with unique experience of got exposed to the fields of engineering, management, and legal education. With 25 years of experience in the field of coaching, especially shaping the careers of civil service aspirants, with my team, I could witness the humble results, of course, 250 plus results. All my kids are working in different parts of India as IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, and some of them in abroad as well. Part of Union External Affairs Ministry, you might be aware. And what's your vision, sir, if that's going to be the case? What's your vision, sir, if that is your question? Ladies and gentlemen, to be part of solution by simplifying the complexity. And by enabling youths of India, especially to provide career solution, later to embrace the global community. Fortunately, this particular vision of mine is completely in alignment with Unacademy's vision. We are working together to shape you so that you realize your dream, goal. You become officer in your own capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, together we build community. Yes, because we are part of solution. You can also reach me through Telegram channel, say Unacademy_Sampath. That not only that, variety of videos, we have already, put in the very YouTube channel part of Unacademy, whether it is optional subjects, say sociology or ethics and integrity, a part of, UPSC civil service examination mains paper 4, GS4, and also essay, the 250 marks you might be aware, and also the topics of, international relations. You please go through all those videos to benefit more. Not only that, having downloaded Unacademy learning app, you can also watch my live videos. If you're already subscribed, you can go back and watch a lot of videos. And when it comes to prelims, last 5-year questions, the general studies questions, MCQs we have discussed. You please go through that. You will benefit more. And many questions came out of that particular discussion. We are getting fantastic feedback about it. We feel encouraged. And that prompted us to discuss more questions from mains angle also. You please watch those videos. And you can also reach me, to my social network using my ID, say Success Sampath or Sampath Tiruvengidam, to benefit more. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Let me take you in. It's not only me. We more than 100 plus top educators of India with 20 to 25 years of experience and subject matter expertise. We have been waiting on the part of Unacademy to shape you, to sculpt you, so that you become leader or officer in your own terms. Ladies and gentlemen, having understood the importance of, that the very enabling you. Ladies and gentlemen, under UPSC Civil Service Examination, we have got more than 15,000 courses. Not only that, very well, great things will take time. It is empire building process. There is no leadership without passions. There is no leadership without your passion. There is no leadership without leadership. When I say leadership, of course, your initiative, that your participation, your involvement, then you show consistency. Then ultimately that demands your focus too. Having, that analyze all those parameters, ladies and gentlemen, because, the moment you become IAS or IPS or IFS, IRS officer, you are going to be part of, Indian bureaucracy, the steel pillars of Indian administration for the next 25 to 30 years of wonderful career. That demands minimum 2 years of your devotion. Let me repeat, it is the empire building process. Great things will take time. Yes, understood all those parameters, we have devised, two major programs, Plus program and Iconic program. What is Plus program? That says, that you got live classes, regular test series, unlimited practice session, structured schedule mechanisms. We save your time. We set you on track. Starting from 1 month to maximum 36 months for which we have got a program. Please use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Almost you get around, that 9K, 9,000 rupees difference. If you're going to enjoy this, a discount using my referral code, say success. More than this Plus program, ladies and gentlemen, we strongly recommend Iconic program. What is this Iconic program? Apart from the advantages of the very Plus program, you will be allotted a personal coach, a mentor to understand your nature and to suggest study planner accordingly, and also to train you on everyday basis in terms of answer writing exercises. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, though it is virtual learning, it is almost like someone guiding you, that on day-to-day basis. It's otherwise you are getting individual attention. Here too you got programs, 12 months program, 34 months program, 36 months program. Why 36 months program or 3 years program, you can ask me. I understand there are a lot of college going aspirants. It is not thinking about your career having finished your graduation. You think about, keep the end in mind when you begin. You have to think about your career when you begin. That's what I'm talking about. So while doing graduation itself, if you start preparing, when you reach final year, you can give attempt for your prelims. The first attempt itself, you can become all India topper. Not only that, work going aspirants, you are running short of time. You can plan accordingly when you got enough, that age. So that is why, that 3 years program, let it be very flexible, because it's not, learning should be fun. It's a hobby. It should not be like, stressed activity. I should study that thing, what to do. No. Because that demands your planning, proper planning and proper involvement. It's, that at the end of the day, you're going to become officer. What is the use of, that becoming officer, that if you're not healthy, if you're not with the right mindset. So you have to take into account, you have to plan accordingly. That is why we understand your time availability, and also we take care of your budget. That is why, that variety of courses, you please participate. Here to use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, almost 15,000 rupees, the benefit you get. So technically speaking, you end up paying mere 80 to 100 rupees if you calculate on per day basis. The very expenses, that what that you commit towards your evening snacks. But you ensure your career. As simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. Yes, for all popular that optional subject, we extend our support on the part of Unacademy. Here too, you can use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Of course, you get almost 5K difference, 5,000 rupees benefits you get. Ladies and gentlemen, we told you already the price hike is on the cards. When we talk about Iconic program, rush yourself. It's whether it is 2021, 2022, 2023, you can plan that 11th January we start that variety of batches, because we've got variety of teams, that the top educators, top educators with subject matter expertise, we are waiting there for you to support you. Avail, make use of the that available, the very opportunities. Otherwise, this is what that you can download all this that the PDF to know more. Of course, you can also that opt for courses, prelims, mains, general studies, as well as optional subject, whether it is 1 year, 2 year, 3 year program. Use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Almost it works out that around that say, yeah, that 45,000 rupees, the difference, the benefit you get. Hope, that you would have understood the very program, ladies and gentlemen. I, in the beginning, emphasized the very iconic program because you will be allotted a personal coach and there will be constant evaluation of your, the mains test program, and you will be given feedback, the very genuine feedback. And we having understood your nature, we customize and personalize your study planner. And when you need some sort of clarity over some topics, we also allow you to attend the booster sessions, and you will be allowed to participate in the high intensity workshops too. Ladies and gentlemen, when you practice, that everyday answer writing exercises, the feedback what you get, definitely that will transform you. Otherwise, it will accelerate your preparation with our daily input. That's what we say, our content. You can download the PDF for all the sessions. Having already, that enrolled the program, what should I do, sir? Yes, you can upgrade yourself because, this particular iconic program has got this much advantages. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Now it is the right time. Let me take you in for the very purpose and direction of, today's interaction. 1 second. You can also comfort yourself. Yes. And, let me take this opportunity parallelly, to congratulate all the aspirants, who are appearing for the mains examination today. The 2020 mains, begins today, especially with essay paper. Even we have given, that the very half an hour, that the checklist for the essay examination, you might be aware, ladies and gentlemen. And, that let's, that with the blessings of the God, let them, that perform very well, let them score very well, let them become all India topper. Let me appreciate all those guys participating today. Congratulations, you guys, that yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is time. This is ethics and integrity. You might be aware. This is in continuation of various, the videos, that through which, we reached you. This is part of your UPSC Civil Service Examination mains. The mains has got the responsibility of 1750 marks. Out of that 1750, 1000 marks meant for your GS paper, 500 marks meant for your optional subject, and all our aspirants writing, today the main examination, that's for 250 marks. 2 essays you're going to write in 3 hours. So 1000 plus 500 plus 250. Out of 1000 marks meant for general studies, you got, 4 papers. Per paper, it's going to be 250. Are you aware of this? Paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4. This ethics and integrity is part of your general studies. Of course, paper 4 of your GS mains has got the responsibility of, contributing to the tune of 250 out of this 1750. When I say 250, let's talk about the split up. This is 120 plus 130. Sir, what is this? It looks like mental ability. It looks like mathematics session, sir. The morning itself, I hate to the core mathematics, sir. Maybe, I understand your mind voice, ladies and gentlemen. It's simple calculation. That you have to be very clear where we are, what we are on exactly. That's very important. Well began is off then. You might be aware. Let me connect you first. Ladies and gentlemen, out of this 250, 120 marks, of ethics and integrity is meant for your theories, concepts, otherwise contributions from various philosophers, the social scientists, great thinkers of the world, and various religions in the world. It is because of the contributions from, that even, that the philosophers, when I say the down south, of course, you people call, the very, the Thiruvalluvar, who wrote Tirukkural, the greatest philosophy of life which has got there. So, including all, the people from different walks of life, from different parts of the world, that they've contributed in enriching the subject matter called ethics and integrity. So, this 120 marks is all about the contributions of those thinkers, philosophers, social scientists, the concepts, the theories, and the ideal, the value system, from different religions in the world. So, when you are going to apply all those principles in your day-to-day life, that becomes your case study. You are put in a particular situation that you have to come out, that colorful, successful. How it is possible? Only when you are, that very, very strong enough, that strong mindset that comes out of your, that strong personality, strong character in you. Otherwise, you are guided by your, your conscience, your inner voice. You are guided by your heart. Sometimes, than your brain, as Vivekananda puts it. Swami Vivekananda says, you might be aware, I keep on repeating this point. Why? Whenever there is a conflict between your heart and brain, listen to your heart. That will take yourself to the greater heights where you can't reach there even by your brain. What it says, all is well. So it is intuition, because that will be connected with the soulful rendition. Otherwise, I'm talking about. So it is that way. So that you provide ethical solution whenever that you encounter a situation, maybe the situation of conflict or constraints in your day-to-day life, or ethical dilemma, whether to choose this or that, and you are guided by ethics. After all, ethics, that what is ethics? If you ask me, it's a principle, standards, or the value system, set of value systems guiding you whenever you are confused, whenever you are perplexed. So even in the case study, you will be given situation that you will be witnessing ethical dilemma as a public servant, as as an individual, as a citizen of the nation, as a responsible citizen. Your ethics in personal relation, ethics in social relation, as a public servant, ethics in public administration. It is not only restricted to the humanity, you apply the same principles even beyond humanity, to every flora, fauna, the living, non-living things, biotic, abiotic, even visible and invisible forms of life, where we speak about environmental ethics. It's not only that in the international arena, international ethics we are talking about, and also the concepts like emotional intelligence, your attitude, your aptitude, everything you're going to apply there in case studies. You're going to provide ethical solution where ethics guiding you. It's not new. You are already doing it. You are man of good conduct, women of good conduct. You got a character in you. That's why you are sitting in front of me. That's why you want to become, that civil servant of India. You want to be part of the solution. You want to make difference in the lives of so many people, because you're part of the solution. There is ethics in you. You have been guided by ethics, because the very value system in you guided you. You want to be a leader. You want to be a connector. You want to be a facilitator. By simplifying the complexity, that's why you became, that civil servant. That's why you want to become civil servant of India. Otherwise, you are now civil service aspirant. Ladies and gentlemen, because that it is not new to you. You are already doing it. Probably my session, my humble attempt, to give shape to your understanding, to formalize your understanding, to structure your practices, probably by supplying of some nomenclatures, the keywords. That's what I do. I do nothing, because you know everything already. Maybe formalization of your understanding, that's what we do. A teacher is a page ahead of the student. I'm your co-traveler. And because it's inside out, not outside in. That's what ethics reveals. இருக்கும் இடத்தை விட்டு இல்லாத இடம் தேடி எங்கெங்கோ அலைகிறாய் ஞான தங்கமே. Everything is inside you. Because truth is same, but you see, the different manifestations. All religions are, that speaking the same truth. For Mahatma Gandhi, truth is religion. Even Swami Vivekananda says, that, so the universal acceptance, tolerance, the core principle of Hinduism. He says, that all religions are truths. All religions are true. They are different paths to the same destination. Talking about, the unity, behind diversity. That is the core principle you witness part of Indian Constitution, our Indian ethos. Yes. How do you arrive at all these things? It is inside out, everything, that particular thing, because you are part of the greater entity. You are part of the greater mechanism. The Jivatma joins Paramatma once the purpose is over. But you came here for a particular purpose. You question yourself, who am I? Vivekananda questioned, he became Swami Vivekananda. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa guided him. Even, that Ramana Maharishi, he questioned himself, who am I? Just that way, the people act as a bridge in connecting past with the present, in connecting West with the East, in connecting, the spiritualism of East with, the materialism and scientific temperament of the West. It is not polarizing, it is not dividing, it is connecting. That is why the religion for great people is a tool for connecting people. For small people, it's a tool for dividing or polarizing people. Of course, religion, which talks about ritual and ceremonies created with a purpose, unfortunately, people forgot the purpose. That's why it has become called, mere ritual, ceremony, stereotypes. They're all, that your first attempt, according to Swami Vivekananda, religion itself called as, science of consciousness. So we speak everything, but because, beyond that, religion is all about, being and becoming. Even Buddhism reinforces that particular point of view. Self-experience. It is not somebody else's endorsement. Being and becoming. It is experiencing yourself. It is not somebody else's experience, your own experience. Your own submission. You undergo experience. That is what religion is all about. So that is the first step, towards, understand the very spirit that you are part of. Your spirit is part of the greater spirit. So you are part of, that a greater spirit. Of course, God is in you. Everything is in you. Everything is inside out, not outside in. So many things we did in our life in such a way, right? So that obstructed the path of that, greater entity inside us. You silence your whispering mind, your intuition, your inner voice. Come on, that you do something to do away with all those obstacles so that you unleash your potential. Because by nature you are the happiest person in the world, but you did so many things in the world to make yourself unhappy. By nature you are pure person, but by your various deeds and thoughts, you contaminated yourself. So all these things, what I'm talking, it's not new to you. You know everything. You know everything. Maybe, that I take asylum in the world of, thinkers, philosophers, social scientists, different religions. In that path, that of course, having discussed, the Western moral thinkers, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Immanuel Kant, John Baudelaire Rawls, even English utilitarians, that Jeremy Bentham, John Stuart Mill. And also, that we started discussing, that, the Swami Vivekananda. Now, that we are going to discuss, very Buddhism, Gautama Buddha Siddhartha, his enlightenment, his nirvana. That ultimately having born in, that a luxurious life, how he became, ascetic. And that he's not asking you to, that be touch extreme. He recommends some sort of middle path. It's almost equivalent to the golden means recommended by the Aristotle, Western moral thinker. Be moderate in all your actions. And the core principle of Buddhism, you be compassionate. You also see the elements of environmental ethics there. And his gospel, the teachings, the preachings, where you are going to know, that you love everybody. Show generosity. Have contentment. Whatever you have contentment, self-satisfaction. And be truthful, don't lie. And be have mindfulness. Avoid, that all those, practice temperance otherwise. Avoid intoxicating things. So these are all, that he has got his own way of telling the preachings, like, proscriptive norms, prescriptive norms. We are going to speak. And all of his contributions, that you are going to learn in the name of, Four Noble Truths. And greatest essence of Buddhism, you might be aware. The source of sufferings is desire. You know very well, simply in common parlance. He says dukh in Pali language. The anxiety, apprehension, sufferings. Why? It's because of your craving for pleasure, physical pleasure, the materialistic world, craving for continuity. But you are, that as long as, that you practice that, you are under ignorance. The moment you do away with that, you get liberated from those, that dukh, the variety of forms of dukh. Four Noble Truths. He talks about, that dukh, the dukkha, maybe the Pali, and also origin of dukh and cessation of the dukh, the path leading to the dukh, and where he prescribes, that the eightfold path. Of course, where he says, right understanding, the right thought, right speech, right action, right mindfulness, that we are going to discuss, that right livelihood, everything we are going to talk about. So that eightfold path. Finally, so this is what? Four Noble Truths, eightfold path. Otherwise, that the preachings, the five preachings, that proscriptive norms or prescriptive norms, everything. What is that? The world is full of dukh. Why? The sufferings. It's because of that, the desire, the attachment. It is not expecting you to be, ascetic or monk, that be austere, starve. No, it's not like that. He expects you to practice, moderation, the middle path, not touching the two extremes. Yes, this is what the core essence of the Buddhism, but we are going to elaborate. That all, that ideas you can understand only when you touch historical roots. So this is what our, that today's interaction is centered around, ladies and gentlemen, the Buddhism, the contribution of Gautama Buddha Siddhartha. The very birth of India is the land of, that the birth of Buddhism and Jainism. You see Buddhism everywhere now. In Tamil, we say Gopal Balpudi, India, Ilangai, Malaysia, Burma, Singapore. In my childhood, I used to listen to that, the advertisement from All India Radio. In all those countries, you see Buddhism. Whether you see Gopal Balpudi, the tooth powder or not, you see Buddhism everywhere. Right? Even in our relationship between India and, the very Sri Lanka, that, that Ramayana circuit in Sri Lanka and Buddhist circuit in India, the cultural exchange. The Visakha Day in the Sri Lanka, our Prime Minister Modi ji participated, you might be aware. But with the very land of Buddhism practicing, that of course the ending of, that ethnic conflict, that's different story we are talking about. Because, as a nation, they've got their own policy, it's not interfering. As if you speak, as per, Panchshil policy, that's, altogether, the different domain. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Our discussion today is centered around the very Buddhism, the contribution of the religion, Buddhism. You might be aware. Both Buddhism and Jainism came from the, the parent religion called Hinduism. Why? Because of the religious orthodoxy on the part of Hinduism. Because, mostly, the mercantile communities, especially, they felt a lot of limitations because of the Hinduism. They were unable to move freely, unable to carry out their commercial activities. Because as a pious Hindu, you should not travel territorial water, you might be aware. And also the rituals and ceremonies, studied Hinduism, they hated. The caste system, they did not endorse because the Buddhism preaches egalitarianism. And that as simple as that, that they do not want all those rituals and ceremonies. And they are not prescribing God also. They are simply prescribing, that all this path, that the root cause of, that your dukh, your suffering is your desire. You are craving for, physical pleasure, material pleasure, the continuing the same pleasure. As long as you practice that, you are under the state of ignorance, agyan you call. The moment you do away with that, you detach yourself from them, ultimately you are free. You are getting liberated. You are getting enlightened. Otherwise called you attain nirvana. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So this Buddhism and Jainism, what we are talking about, because of the limitations of Hinduism, there came the heterodox, religions in India. Even, that constitutionally speaking, Buddhism and Jainism is treated as part and parcel of, the Hinduism in legal sense, for your kind information. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. Why? Because, that the very language used by Hinduism, of course, the high status accorded to Sanskrit, whereas Buddhism and Jainism, they use, that local lingua franca. You know very well, Pali, Prakrit. Even when I visited, that the very Odisha, where, Dhaulagiri, the very place, where Kalinga war fought, the Prakrit inscription I could witness there. And next to, the Dahi river, the bloodshed, that the very war witness, and that prompted, the very Ashoka to embrace Buddhism. You might be aware. Dhamma policy. Devanam Priyadasi, very Ashoka, you call, embrace Dhamma policy based on Dharma. Uttam Saranam Kachami, Dharmam Saranam Kachami. You would have heard all these slogans now. Yes. But very Buddhism itself has got, its own system. Hinayana, Mahayana, lesser vehicle, greater vehicle, you might be aware. It is totally different scenario. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you in. Of course, that the contribution from the religion called Buddhism, which is the heterodox religion of the, the very Hinduism we are talking about. The contribution from Buddhism, which came from, that both Buddhism and Jainism came from Hinduism. Of course, you understand. Ladies and gentlemen, this particular subject matter, ethics, it is an instrument of social control to regulate the society, to control the society. The individuals, groups, organizations, the communities are regulated. By how? By the value system, by the principles, by standards. But that particular basic, that ethics and associated set of values varying from domain to domain we are talking about. Maybe the basic human values, what do you speak, that of course we spoke many times, TRLPJ. What is that? The basic human values expected on the part of any human being. What is that? You speak truth. Maybe out of truth you get honesty, then integrity, then responsibility. It's not talking about your rights alone. What about your responsibility? And love everybody. Love leads to acceptance and peace and peaceful living, peaceful, amicable living. This is the core principle of all international institutions, whether you call UNO and everybody. And there should be fairness in whatever you do, the justice at the end of the day. It's not equality. In that sense, you move to equality to equity. So, the basic human values that you are supposed to practice in your personal relation. And also the ethics in, that in social relations, maybe where we take asylum in Nolan Committee recommendations, where we talk about SIOA, OHL. What is that? That this is according to, that Lord Nolan Committee recommendations of UK. They are celebrating Silver Jubilee now. What are all those? Selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, leadership. This is ethics in social relations we are talking about. It is that way. Ethics in public administration, ethics in environmental angle, ethics in international relations. And also you are supposed to, tame your emotion. It's not your IQ, it is your EQ. It is your ability that takes you to the greater heights. It's your EQ, emotional quotient, how capable you are in gelling with others. The practice of emotional intelligence. For that, you should stay composed. You should know how to manage your emotions. When you stay composed, when you stay composed, you are capable of managing the emotions of others. So that promotes emotional growth. Then that ensures peace in that particular locality, whatever may be. So where we get the support of, the John Mayer, Peter Salovey, Daniel Goleman. We spoke, ability model, domain model. You please watch all my previous videos also. It is that way. This syllabus is all about that. Ladies and gentlemen, know that. So the value system cutting across different domains. Whenever you encounter situational constraints, conflicts, ethical dilemmas, or confusion, you are guided by them. So that, you ensure peace. Peace is a prerequisite for prosperity. Then only there will be economic development. Then only with that, economic, the development, you can meet, the needs of the people. Whether it is roti kapada makan or bijli sadak pani. Then only you can ensure peace in the society. Then only people will be happy. That's reinforcing already existing peace again. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way we are talking about how to lead life. It's almost like that way, that you got, that the great statesmen, the great philosophers, great thinkers, great social scientists, and great religions in the world guiding you to ensure, that a good life, be good, do good. And you are here for excellence. It's not simply existing. It's not simply surviving. It is almost good to great. That paradigm shift we are talking about. That great life is possible only when you understand all these, principles. Otherwise, you will be completely shrouded in mediocrity. But people will say, no, it is not practical. Impossibility is the response. It's a vocabulary of the mediocrity, who does not want to take the responsibility of administration. So, the impossible itself says, I am possible. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about possibilities. We are discussing possibilities, the different kind of value system guiding you so that you lead. It's not mere good life, a great life. That is what, the very aim of ethics and integrity, the very subject matter, part of your UPSC civil service examination means, which has got the responsibility of 250 marks, 120 plus 130 we are talking about. And also linking with context, the syllabus. And of course, that we'll be giving introduction, that how Buddhism is born through Gautama Buddha Siddhartha, how he came from the Shakya clan. We are going to talk about from luxurious life. He came out of the palace in search of, he became wanderer. Finally, he attained, that under Bodhi tree, that the very Kaivalya. Of course, not Kaivalya, Nirvana, the enlightenment. You got the liberation. You take it that way. So, and also, that what are all the, the conceptual framework of the very Buddhism and its thoughts, the Eightfold Path, Four Noble Truths, as I said, and also the prescriptions, that how the life of family and society should be, and also how to practice non-violence and peace, because that demands, be compassionate, be kind to every kind, not only mankind, where you see the core of environmental ethics. So, non-violence, compassion, love, peace. And also, that he recommends, the moderate path, middle path, which is equivalent to the golden mean of Aristotle, we said in the beginning. How to be altruistic, because selfless service, even part of Nolan Committee recommendation, the first point is altruism is the core. Even the Eastern value system says the collectivity is more than individual. But whereas Western value system, you might be aware, individualism and privacy and materialism and economic achievement, the core principles of Western system. But whereas Eastern system, spiritualism, altruism, and giving priority to the collectivity. You should be very clear about value system. Otherwise, you become judgmental. You start evaluating Western cultures from your standards, Eastern standards, and that Western people start that evaluating that Eastern value system through their own standards. There comes chaos, conflict only. It is ethnocentric, otherwise we call. If you want to understand a particular culture, go to that. You have to customize, personalize yourself. It's not becoming judgmental. We are talking about, of course, that altruism, selfless soul, you have to understand, because you have to understand, for that you have to understand who you are. The greatest wisdom begins with that your understanding about yourself. Know yourself first. Even Buddha reinforces, know yourself first. Religion is all about being and becoming. Know yourself. There is a God in you. There is boson particle in you. Don't contaminate. But through your body, you are given opportunity. Don't contaminate the soul. Rather, you try to add value to the soul. It's the greatest opportunity for you by leading ethical life. You can ask me, why this instrument of social control? Why? Because, we are already tired of the limitations of the law, the legal mechanisms, and its rigidity. So, ethics is more than law, but not compromising law. That demands extra tools, different kind of value systems. What I'm discussing, to be part of that the world of knowledge-based society, because where you don't need enforcing agencies, because there is judge in you that's guiding you, because you are very mature, cultured, because you never compromise the value system you are taught by your brought up or socialization. That throughout the life, the cradle to grave, the value system you internalize, because you got exposed to the variety of the agents of socialization, the institutions in the world. Starting from family, the educational institutions, political institutions, religious institutions, they taught you, you took in. That's why there is a character in you. There is a personality in you. The personality of your is the byproduct of this socialization. You are cultured, you are mature, there is a judge in you, there is intuition, there is inner conscience, you are guided by that. You don't need monitoring mechanism, enforcing agencies. The world of that law, you might be aware, only on violating law you are penalized. After that you feel guilty. But in the world of ethics, it's totally different. Even thinking of violating law, you feel guilty. Why I thought, oh Babre, oh my God, oh my goodness, it is that way you speak. Why did this moment, what's happening? The oldest democracy in the world, we are talking about the largest democracy, India, oldest democracy, United States of America, they are witnessing now banana republic moment. All leaders, that except Trumpism, all leaders are now, what is this? They feel guilty. The hypocritical attitude there, it's happening there. The champion of democracy, the very nation which promoted democracy everywhere in different parts of the world by interfering in terms of changing of regimes, what they happening, that is what you have grown up that to that particular status, Trump, but you lack maturity. Even Prime Minister Modi ji talking about, there should be smooth transfer of power. But parallelly, it's becoming politics in India. That's different scenario. And linking with that the very the agricultural protests, Delhi. But where opposition parties, they themselves, they don't have qualification to speak about it, given violation of all those the democratic norms in the past in so many times. So it's that let's not enter into petty politics. That the talk people wasting time. Let's be very productive. We are talking about. So the moment that you feel guilty, even thinking of violating that the value system, that you feel guilty. That is what ethics, ladies and gentlemen, which is instrument of social control, part of that knowledge-based society, because we already had magic, religion, science, different instruments of social control, even formal and informal mechanism. Informal mechanism, the custom and tradition guided us. Folkways morals guided us. But the world of science, industrial society, the very law based on logical connectivity, justification, reasoning, the empirical value, which guided us, but we see limitations there. They become rigid also, as said by Max Weber, the Max Weberian bureaucracy, it has turned, the bureaucrats into iron cage trapped individuals. You are unable to move freely, this side, that side, everywhere, according to that law, according to this GO, according to this amendment, according to this Supreme Court judgment. Then what is the use of having everything? When you are not part of the solution, what is the use of having the robust mechanism? It's making mockery of the whole democracy. Whole administration did. So make it practical, pragmatic, make it flexible. That is what the role of ethics. And where you are supposed to practice, the more than law, you practice your compassion, your sensitivity, your commitment, your responsibility, your transparency, your accountability. As an individual, part of that implementation, whether bureaucrat or political executive, that you practice that value system. You are guided by your value system, guided by your intuition, guided by your judge, the conscience. This is what all about that. We are talking about there, one of the core principles, the altruism, selfless service. Even Swami Vivekananda says, at the end of the day, you have to understand, whatever you do, if it is benefiting others, then that is ethical activity. Not for your own selfish amazing of wealth. I'm talking about all politicians. One guy got gone to the tune of, earning 15,000 crore, that one Tamil Nadu minister, there is an accusation. Are you aware? Oh my God. When people are starving, one minister with 15,000, swindled money. And what about other ministers also I'm talking about? We are already tired of the previous regimes at the national level, that they went to Tihar also, you might be aware, the variety of scams, that the Indian nation witnessed. And when state administration itself, within the state of Tamil Nadu, one minister accumulated to the tune of 15,000 crore, you just imagine. It's not making mockery of the whole democratic exercise or administrative exercise. So you see the clear-cut example. Trump gone to the level of president of USA, see his, that the complete floating of norms, ethics, where all social networks ultimately blocking the account. It is unbecoming. Couldn't even show himself as, that a responsible citizen of USA, but he rose to the level of the president of USA. Clear violation, unethicality, hypocrisy, double standards. Oh my God, we are all grown up physically, not mentally, ethically, not emotionally, not intellectually. Ethics guiding you. Take the help of ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, altruism, it is not for selfish motto, right, to benefit the society. It's not only for humanity. There are guys, widen their boundary. Vadiya payirai kandabodellam vadinen. Jiva karunya principle. Whenever I see plant is dying, I feel as if I'm dying. Now birds are dying. Bird flu everywhere. Oh my God, apart from COVID situation, it's getting complicated. You might be aware, we are talking about, what's our contribution, what's our selfless service. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen, and also the Buddhism and its preach of ethics, as I said, that all those proscriptive norms, finally, the codes, fantastic codes of Buddhism, because, you get a lot of questions based on your codes. And also the resources to be consulted. Why I took much time? Because I revealed, the very essence of not only today's discussion, even the ethics, the very ethical dilemma you witness this way. Whether it is, that environmental sustainability you speak for, or, that you speak about, that mere economic development. Whether you take sides of, that social solidarity or peace in the nation or national integration, or you focus only on material development. Whether you take asylum in the name of law, or you do justice or fairness to the people so that no section of population getting aggrieved, getting affected, getting impacted, or whether you always talk in favor of, that your fundamental rights, freedom is my birthright. I shall have it, that you might be, that aware, the freedom, the India's independence struggle. Bala Gangadhara Tilagar, you might be aware. But even today, having, that got India's independence, you say, I've got my own fundamental rights. I'm asking parallelly, do you got fundamental duties also? Part of the constitution? You got 11 duties? Have you discharged your obligation? Have you paid your taxes properly? Do you take care of your family members, your neighborhood? Keep the house in order. If you don't take care of your own neighborhood, your own family members, how come you can aspire by, that for global leadership or, that national leadership? I'm asking. It is that way, your obligation, your immediate obligation, your obligation towards other species. That's called stewardship in environmental ethics. The planet of the earth is not only meant for your, the humanity alone. There are other species too. Who gave you authority to spoil their own domain? By your so-called anthropogenic factor, irresponsible consumer behavior. We talk that way. It's not speaking about your fundamental rights, part of Indian Constitution, fundamental rights, Article 12 to 35. What about your fundamental duty? Part 4 of the Constitution we are talking about. Yes, not well, 11 duties we say. And also it's not talking about, entering into competition. Is it compatible? All developed countries, you have to understand, it's not competing with underdeveloped countries. They are not, it's not a level playing field. In terms of your economy size, military strength, in terms of your R&D, technology, recycling mechanism, they are nowhere. How come you can expect, come on, let's all global nations come together so as to mitigate or reduce the global emission, the greenhouse gases to the pre-1990 level, part of Kyoto Protocol? Maybe part of United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change, the Conference of Party meetings, you say. Who questioned all these things when you were polluting the world? Polluter must pay. You got more responsibility. With more power comes more responsibility. Share the technology with them, some funding with them, give them more space. That is why we say there should be collective but differentiated responsibility. It's not compatibility. You're talking about competition. What about compatibility? So that we talk about principle of equity. They are not equal to you. You have to understand unique problems on the part of those developing and underdeveloped world. That's international arena. Same way, when we talk about the development, economic development in the nation, it should not be the development of few. It's not the development of the growth of the few corporates. Otherwise, they are criticized corporate-driven politics. What is that growth process benefiting everyone, all sections of population? Is it inclusive growth? Otherwise, is that growth taking everybody on board? Is it working in the direction of the Keynesian economics or percolating down, trickle down theory? It's not talking about competition. It's about compatibility. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, as said by Mahatma Gandhi, one of the 7 sins. It would be nice if we talk about the possibility politics, based on principles, politics based on ethical standards. Unfortunately, it's not. Wider deviation we talk about. So, for example, I keep on mentioning this, the Tamil Nadu level corruption is said to be, 43% corruption. Of course, my friends, my relatives, part of the governance, working there, they say the hands are tied. What to do, Sampath? We can't, overcome the political masters. We are simply implementing, throw away. One guy came out, one Santosh Babu, one, Sagayam came out, right? Do you have guts? Throw away, resign. It's not, that for your survival, you continue the process. When you are unable to implement, that's something, that most of the problems in the world, not because of the violence of the worst people, but silence of the good people. But because, you want to exist, you want survival. You are born in this world not to survive, to excel. Work towards moral excellence. Practically speaking, what practical? The moment you say practical, it is survival. You don't know how to survive. That's why that you have surrendered yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, that way, the politicians, of course, that the politics per se is fantastic, noble profession. It is bad politicians entered into the domain of politics and contaminated the scenario. By straight way, by ethical way, they can't, excel. That's why, the back route policy, the deviant policy, the survival mechanism. So the politics, that compromising ethics, compromising the value system, the principles and standards. That's why the degenerated society you have. So what you witness in the United States of America, the very politics without principles, the Trump compromised the principles. You're all wonderful, I love you, go home. What is the statement? Not even feeling ashamed. It's not flexing the muscle. There is no smooth transfer of power. Politics, at the international level also, the double standards, hypocrisy. We are talking about, that it is that way. So politics without principles, that as said by one of the 7 sins according to Mahatma Gandhi. So these are all the ethical dilemmas, whether to speak in favor of economic development or social progress, or to, that by compromising section of population. Even the very firm laws introduced by central government, they are trying to convince, they are trying to work out, the different consensual mechanism, that though various talks are inconclusive, they are progressing, I believe. But meanwhile, fringe elements, that entering into, vandalism, you might be aware. So the government is very keen to take into account, that the grievances of, small and marginal farmers, they understand the unique problems are the part of every section of the population. It's not mere liberalization of agriculture sector, parallelly taking care of that particular liberalization and its impact on, that agricultural community. and also giving assurance that, MSP, all those, subsidy, even procurement mechanism may not be dismantled, definitely cannot be dismantled. Of course, that the demand from, the agricultural community, they want, by law. Of course, that they're discussing that different scenario. So it's not mere, that the social progress, the purpose. It is not the progress, it's the purpose and the direction. Where do you progress? It is not the speed, the direction matters. Speed thrills but kills. It is not a social progress. The progress with what purpose? What direction? So ultimately you have to understand, that we are in that particular process, we are not leaving out even a section of population, whether women or children or transgender or minorities or Dalit or downtrodden people, even small and marginal farmers or informal workforce. Everybody we take into account. Then only it is called inclusive governance. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, please. You can also refresh yourself, please. And also you talk about, the good governance, from good governance to ethical governance. Yeah, we are not, that for mere economic diplomacy, ethical diplomacy. It's not only me attitude. The world has, that one family, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. India want to become superpower, no doubt at all. But, with, want to be superpower and play the role with other superpowers in the world. It's not only me attitude. As you witnessed in the case of double standards of United Nations, or the case of one belt, one road initiative of, the China, trying to make, every nation in the world debt trapped. Not like that. Not only me attitude. We are all stakeholders. The world is a family. We are all members. Growth to its own potential. That is what we say. It's not zero-sum concept game. It is not, it's otherwise called variable sum concept game we wanted. My success is not your failure. Your success is not my failure. Let's work together because, value system keep on changing. The society is said to be, successful when all its goals are properly met. What are all those goals? All the members of the society, when they are happy, it is, a successful society. Let's talk about the greater entity. It's not about individual success, the collective success we are talking about. It is generating wealth for the society, not for an individual. So, constant sum concept of theory says, that the power is fixed. If I possess 80% of the power, you are, with remaining 20% of the power. If you possess 80%, I've got only 20%. The meaning is that power is fixed or resources are limited. No, the resources are unlimited. You can generate, you can create. Use your brain. At the same time, balance with heart. At the end of the day, people should be happy. It is that way. So, ethical diplomacy we are talking about. In that way, it is not mere responsibility, transparency, accountability on the part of corporate, the very good governance we are talking about. We also talk about, corporate social responsibility, scientific social responsibility, inclusive governance, even financial inclusion. The Mandrega schemes, welfare schemes, populistic measures. Why? Taking everybody on board. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. Variety of ethical dilemmas, what you witness, of course, that where you are guided by ethics. I'm talking about, this is what the syllabus prescription, candidates' attitude and approach to issues relating to integrity, probity in public life, and, because you're going to be part of solution. And especially to the issues you encounter day to day. The ethical the ethical dilemma or conflict of interest part of governance. That it is that way, how come you are, in what way you are guided by the very ethical standards, the principles, value system. The syllabus is all about that. Of course, that the elaboration, that you can download the titles of the syllabus I'm sharing with you. Ethics in, the personal, ethics in social, ethics, the emotional intelligence we are talking about, and ethics in public administration, both, and contributions of moral thinkers, philosophers, various social scientists and various religions too, and all those concepts, theories and perspectives and its application, that in your day-to-day life when you encounter ethical dilemma, otherwise called case studies. It is 120 plus 130. Ladies and gentlemen, you got the information by this time. Let me take you to the next level. Yes. And today's, the bone of the contention. Today's, that the center of attraction, of course, how the religion called Buddhism, though it came from Hinduism, it has got its own value system. The very value system preached by Buddhism, in what way it is going to enrich the domain of ethics we are talking about. So, if you want to appreciate ideas, you have to understand the roots, first of all. All ideas, that they've got, their own historical roots. Unless until you understand the background, from which the very Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha hailing, you will never appreciate those, ideas. Even today, they are relevant. Even today, they are guiding you. As long as you are compassionate towards all species, you are Buddha. As long as you love everybody, you are Buddha. As long as you are very moderate, not touching extremes, you may be Buddha or Aristotle. As long as that you stay attached, because the moment that it's impossible to be that detached, because that even the very Hinduism says brahmacharin, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasin. So, student life, family life, one in pursuit of truth, in pursuit of spirit, soul, whatever it may be. Finally, sannyasin, this is about renunciation, detachment. The moment you are patretru, in Tamil it's called patretru. Patru vaital, mati kulvai, sikki kulvai. Stay detached. The moment you understand that flavor, all your actions will be rationalized. You will be moderate. All your consumer behavior will get moderated. Why? Because there will be a perfect balance, fine balance between need and greed. You will be meeting the need. You won't be greedy enough. You will be greedy so as to meet the societal demands, to generate wealth for the society, not for you. You came with nothing, you go with nothing. Why drama? Why all your individual absurdities? We are talking about. So, stay detached. All sufferings, all dukh, it's because of your, the desire, your craving for physical pleasure, material pleasure, the continuing the same. As long as you practice, you are under ignorance. That's what the core principle. That if you're already practicing, you are already living Buddha. Let me tell you. Let me endorse you. Let me recognize you. Let me appreciate you. You're perfect. You are leading happiest life. Yes, it is that way at the end of the day. So, all thing, that you do, finally to reach this, sannyasin or renunciation, the detached living we are talking about. So, the moment you have the touch of this, either by meditation or by the touch of your spiritual mentors, you can excel here. All your actions will be, ethical, guided by the ethical principles. The dharma, artha, kama, moksha, even in Hinduism, the purusharthas, the pillar concepts, what you are talking about, if they are based on dharma, righteousness, that's fantastic. Same way we are talking about, you see the imprint of Hinduism, at the same time it has got its own, demarcation. You will understand the very Siddhartha, born in Nepal. You talk about, of course, today, that's why the Nepal fighting with India for the shared history. You might be aware, when it comes to tourism sector, the very birthplace. Of course, those days, now we are talking about national boundaries. The very culture, ethnicity, over which we have drawn, national boundaries. You divided people by national boundaries. The ethnicity, the culture is there, overlapping. Even there was a question, essay question. The whole South Asia, you see, that more than, it's a pan subcontinent, subcontinental culture, you see, going beyond national identity. Of course, Siddhartha, that 583, that part of Shakya clan, born in aristocratic living, that luxurious living. Of course, to King Suddhodana, Queen Maya, it's some basic information, not much relevant to your examination. The examination point of view, only quotes. You are asked quotes, what's your interpretation? For that, you have to understand. Without knowing the background of Buddha, you can't appreciate the ideas, the preachings of, Buddha. You can't understand, then you can't practice them. So, some basic information. So, the very Buddha was protected. He had a protected living, shielded from the very knowledge of religion and human suffering. Let me tell you one story here. There was a great dad in one particular family. He gave birth to, of course, he had one son. And, he understood, all world problems, because of women. Indram gettadum ponnale, Chandram gettadum ponnale. Women as a source of lust, that attitude to that particular dad. So instead of worshipping women as goddess and without and treating women that with great respect, he started that looking at negative side of women as if that a material of lust, and most of the empires came down because of the that the very lust on women. So he understood in such a way, he thought of, that socializing his own son without exposing his son to the world of women. Is it possible? Then you can ask me, where is his mom? Maybe you, for just story's sake, let's assume the mom is no more. Mom died. Otherwise, he hated women. Maybe that way. The dad hated women, male chauvinistic or patriarchal. It is that way. Maybe that way. The negativity he developed about women, he expected his son to have a world which is free from the touch of women. Otherwise, that maybe his horoscope became horror-scope. The astrologer maybe suggested, if you allow your son to mingle with women, he's gone. Maybe that gave different signal to his dad. That the very great dad, what we are talking about, immature dad. So what happened, right? He took him to a remote forest area locality. So that he had his own home, and he started living there. The primary purpose of this dad is not to expose his son to the world of women. So son was that playing with all animals nearby neighborhood. That so somewhat he understood this is what life. That he has got his dad. He never asked about mom. Nothing happened. That he was growing. So he grew up to that level, like Mowgli in the forest. That he has not seen even a single girl or women in his lifetime. In that protected, maybe interior of the forest. For ideal sake, let's hypothetical. Maybe in that situation. But in spite of that, one day fine morning, what happened? When this guy was that playing with animals, that one day accidentally he saw one woman crossing the path. That women may be tribal women, the forest. He saw something. What, this creature looks different. Okay, he got mesmerized by that woman. So somewhat that lady went, that he did not interact, but he got impressed by that, because the age, teenage. So ultimately, what happened, right? That this guy came home, and that after the 2 to 3 days, this guy did not go to forest. He was simply, that keeping himself idle, and became silent also. Started thinking about that new creature he witnessed. His dad asked, "What happened, my son? What happened? You are not going to forest, not playing with your, pet animals. What's happening?" "No, I saw one creature. I want that. I want to play with that creature." This is what the boy said. What is that creature? Women. So it is natural urge here, biological urge here. So you can't protect anybody. So I am talking about, lesser happiness. That citrinbum, this is called. Whatever you give protection or shielding, what will happen? So the physical urge, ultimately, that guy, that was craving for that woman. The creature, of course, women creature, according to him, he saw in the forest, maybe tribal women. This is what life. You can never stop nature. So though, that the very luxurious living of the kingdom, protected the very life of Buddha, Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha, we are calling it the Siddhartha, the shielded from the knowledge of religion and human suffering, because, he was leading luxurious living. Up to 29 years old, he wasn't knowing what is unhappiness, because such aristocratic living. He knew little, that about, there is a life outside, because, he never went beyond the walls of palace. So what happened one day, fine morning, that he went out through his chariot. Ultimately, he took modern day world. You take your Benz, that your Rolls Royce, and take out. You go for a ride. Ultimately, you kill all the the people that sleeping on the platform, right? And because after your discotheque party, that heavy drunk, ultimately you are very happy to kill everybody. That's what happening, na? And Supreme Court ultimately giving judgment. Even there came movie also. You might be aware. So what we are talking about. So, when he went out, with his own chariot, ultimately, he witnessed one aged man, and also one sick man, and also a dead body. That visuals, that upset very Siddhartha, because first time he witnessed. Why pain? Why suffering? Why loss of life? Oh, this life. There is also, that you're going to die at the end. It's not, it's not, going to continue. It is not permanent. So thing came in his mind. He got upset because of that. That it's upset. That the visuals. So of course he saw also. He saw the wandering asset. From place to place. Who renounced the world, and that, and who wanted. That ultimately. That himself release from the fear of death and suffering. All these visuals, disturbing visuals, because he never watched all those things in the past. So ultimately, that upset his mind. As I've seen, as we have said, that one one guy in the forest got upset because of having seen women, in spite of the shielding or protection by his dad. So what happened? That meanwhile, the very Buddha's, that Siddhartha's son also came. That gave birth to, that his own missus gave birth to. Yasoda, of course, you call the son, of course, you call, that not cheerful. Buddha was not very happy because already I don't know why I am. Because, there was a message sent, one person communicate, with the blessings of the God, I've given birth to, my kid, the angel or whatever may be. You don't know already why you came, but who gave you authority to create, another creature? There came, message reply from his own friend. You don't know who you are. Who am I? For what purpose I came? Who gave you authority? How come you can, create another life and to make it wander again? Are you sadist? So Buddha, the Siddhartha was not, he is not Buddha. Siddhartha was not happy. He wanted, what happened ultimately within the palace, that thinking about all this, the disturbed visuals and everything. And he was seized by the sense of the futility. What is the use? What is the outcome of this luxurious life? One day, fine morning, if you are going to die, you're going to become aged, you're going to get sick. So it's not permanent. It is temporary. Why this drama? So what happened one day, fine morning, all these questions, prompted him. He left the palace, having, that tarnished his head, wearing that, that the robe. What do you see? The monk robe. Ultimately, that ultimately, in search of the enlightenment, he wanted, that solution, answers for those, the craving questions in him. He held discourses, variety of discourses with renowned teachers also. Get that enlightenment. And what happened, that parallelly he learned all those religious doctrines and also meditation too. But in spite of that, he could not get answers. No answers to all of his doubts and questions. Why this? Why this life is, that it's full of desires, sufferings? Why everywhere, the omnipresent dukh in Pali language? He could not get answers for all his questions. Ultimately, what happened, right? He and his own, 5 disciples, began looking for the enlightenment on their own. But they wanted to get liberated, freedom from the suffering through. Why this pain? How come we can get liberated? That they were constant search. They were wandering. So what happened, that ultimately physical discipline, ultimately, that maybe the enduring pain, that can be eradicated by physical, the discipline, and also holding your breath. Of course, that's what you do, pranayama, through yogasana, and also you do meditation, that, and also fasting nearly to starvation. Nearly to starvation. So they did everything, ultimately. What happened, right? One day, fine morning, but it never happened, but he got later. That's different. So finding no way, Siddhartha ultimately tried the middle path. So it is not touching extreme, the starvation. So let's preach, that let's take, a middle path, a moderate path, instead of touching extremes. Maybe that came to his mind. So the path of liberation through disciplining the mind, the wandering mind, and having concentration. That happens because of eightfold path. That's what we are going to discuss as recommended by Buddha. Understanding, right thought, that right enlightenment, right livelihood, right speech, right action, everything what we are talking. So disciplining the mind. So the found enlightenment ultimately while meditating beneath the sacred fig tree. Ultimately what happened? That's otherwise called Bodhi tree. Bodh Gaya. When Sashtanga Gowda cut the tree, you might be aware. Now it has become tourism. The Bihar promoting tourism based on that, you might be aware. Bodhi tree. We're talking about Bodhi Maram. Buddha's Bodhi Maram. All your answer sheets are Bodhi tree for us. We also learn from you for your kind information. There is ever learning syndrome in you. you are in one way you are Bodhi tree for us. You may be students, you may be aspirants. We learn from you by your questions, by your confusions. When we try to clarify your confusion, we learn more in that pursuit. So you have to understand, of course, for Buddha, this Bodhi tree, he attained enlightenment finally by practicing that middle path, by practicing moderation, by disciplining his mind. What is that? The spiritual struggle as a great battle with Mara. The whole life, that ultimately, that the spiritual struggle, what you do, that to avoid that death, to avoid that suffering. Maranam, Mara. The demon whose name means destruction. Destruction, we are talking about. You want to be free from rebirth. Birth, death, birth, decay, birth, growth, decay, death, birth, growth, decay, death. Why this cycle? Let's come out of this cycle, free from rebirth. You say Kaivalya, Nirvana, enlightenment, oh my God, please, take me. I don't want to be born again. There's a lot of prayers of our elders. Have you heard this? மறுபிறவி எடுத்து உய்ய வேண்டாம் இறைவா என்னை ஏற்றுக்கொள் என்னை ஆட்படுத்திக்கொள் தடுத்தாட்கொண்டார். I'm talking about some phrases from Tamil, very famous. You are ready to give up. Come on, oh Lord, take me. I'm yours. I'm tired. that prayers on the part of our elders you would have seen. So the spiritual struggle is a great battle with Mara, a demon whose name that means destruction, sufferings, that causes sufferings. That way, that the whole life, people struggle for that. So what happened, that the very Buddha speaks about, 4 noble truths. The noble truths, that of course the path for an individual enlightenment. As an individual, you can get enlightened, liberated from the clutches of your ignorance. For that, you have to understand 4 noble truths. Char truth, Satya. You talk about, the truth of dukkha. It's in Pali language, dukh, sufferings. And the truth of origin, how it originates, the origin of dukkha. What is, the truth of dukh and origin of dukh or dukkha, and the truth of, that how it ends, how you get liberated from this, the sufferings, dukh, the ending, cease. Otherwise, you call, cessation. You say incessant rain. Incessant rain means continuous rain. Cessation, the end. And also the path leading to. In what way? The moderate path, 8-fold path, the middle path, without touching extremes. The path leading to the cessation of, the ending of that dukh, ending of that sufferings. So this is called, 4 noble truths recommended by, ultimately the Gautama Buddha Siddhartha. We're talking about having attained enlightenment under Bodhi tree through his disciplining of his mind by practicing moderation without touching extremes. It is that way. 4 noble truths, that the core principle, that so the world sufferings because of that, attachment, because of the desire, because of the cravings you have, that towards, physical things, all those material things, and continuing the same. As long as you possess, you are under the state of ignorance, agyan. You liberate by being detached, by disciplining your mind, by practicing all those 8-fold paths, understanding these noble truths. Of course, that's according to, that Gautama Buddha Siddhartha we are talking about. Excuse me. Okay, you can also refresh yourself, please. Thank you so much for your passion. Yes, the meaning of, the dukh, of course, it's in Pali language, you might be aware. Dukh, dukkha. What is that meaning? Suffering, anxiety, dissatisfaction, all round. Maybe that you get in variety of ways. 3 types of dukkha we are talking about. So the dukkha has got variety of meaning. Suffering, the mental anxiety, some sort of, the dissatisfaction because of that frustration, the outcome, everything we are talking about. You are not happy. That's the meaning. The unhappiness in different manifestations. So what happened, right? It has got its own, the consequences. You might be aware, that the 3 types of dukkha, according to Gautama Buddha Siddhartha, the very dukh in Pali language, dukkha, ordinary suffering because of, that the physical attachment we are talking about. Another one talking about viparinama dukkha. We are talking about the change you don't embrace. You are not open for change, the change of state, some alteration happening that you undergo. You are not comfortable there. Ultimately, the dukh because of that. And sometimes, that something we aim for, ultimately you don't reach there. You don't land up there. Some sort of failures, the dissatisfaction because of that condition, failed states, of course, samkhara dukkha. You got samskara, So that's Sura Samharana, you call Samkara Dukkha. You are unable to reach that level, the dissatisfaction because of the disappointment. So maybe that way, that dukkha, maybe by, that your physical pain, or, maybe the change of the conditionalities, alteration, or because of, some sort of, disappointment, the failures. So dukh, viparinama dukh, samkara dukh, or dukkha, you call it, it's up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, you got, variety of resources speaking in variety of tone, whatever may be the pali, dukkha, pali, suffering you're talking about. So what is that, but when he was focusing on dukh, why the sufferings in the world? Dukh. Of course, that he wasn't pessimistic. You have to understand. If you, I know that that's what we are talking about, even in India, that we spoke already. What is the point? If you are very keen in eradicating poverty from India, you should know, first of all, what is the percentage of poverty in India, where we don't reach consensus. Are you aware of this? Variety of estimates from variety of organizations. For practical sake, we can say, that some 35% of the population, 35 to 40% of the population living below poverty line, for your kind information. They're called priority categories, it. That is why the Lifeline, PDS, National Food Security Act, even Mandrega, various populistic measures, welfare schemes getting justified. Are you aware of this? So if you are very keen in eradicating poverty, you should know what is the percentage of poverty. But if you don't know what is the percentage of poverty, that shows how determined you are. So there came one committee called Tendulkar Committee. The Gadgil formula, so many things happened in the past, you might be aware. So there came, one committee called Tendulkar Committee to understand all the anomalies on the part of variety of committees, and, and to establish what should be the, what is the poverty of India. Upset all those anomalies. You don't know what is the problem, what is the size of the problem, what is the gravity of the issue. It shows how determined you are in eradicating the issue. If you are very keen in, that to liberate yourself from sufferings, dukkha, first you should understand what is dukh, what is suffering, why is suffering. So, that Buddha was not quite pessimistic about to focus over that. His, that intention to understand the nature of, the dukh or dukkha with a view to transcend it, so that you go beyond that. You get liberate yourself, from that. You go beyond that, transcend. His attempt wasn't pessimistic. You have to understand, it is that way. He wanted to be part of the solution. That's what the idea. Talk about, the very origin of dukkha. What is that origin? How the dukh originates? How your suffering originates? Because of attachment, you might be aware. So the trace to the craving, you crave for, you are longing for. I want this, I want that. All your wants. You become greedy. You want everything what you see in your life. You become adamant. You are grown up. Having reached that level, that the moment, you got fantastic Mercedes Benz, fantastic, yeah, first day, come on. So the next day, what happened? Your neighborhood, when that guy buys Rolls Royce, your happiness gone that day. Because your happiness is based on, you should have something that others should not have. This is constant some concept of theory. That's very bad. Your happiness is not in you. Your happiness is on material. That too, the material of someone else. The moment your neighborhood buy, that your neighbor buys, Rolls Royce, your Mercedes Benz, though you have Mercedes Benz, you are blessed, you are not happy. You misunderstood. This is the way. You lead yourself life, that. So you are always, then ultimately your next target becomes Rolls Royce. In that pursuit, you work hard, ultimately you compromise your health, you die finally. Maybe, maybe the Mercedes Benz photo will be, that kept on the day of your mourning. What is the use here? The quality of the person is not decided by the size of the car in which you are sitting. The quality of the person not decided by the size of the car in which you travel. That's all external. Value addition, that's all. You are the prime. You understand? But we crave for a lot of, that intangible things, the material things in the world. So what happened? That, the longing for all those wants, the desires. I want that, I want this, but sky is limit, people say. First of all, sky itself there is no limit. It's outer space. The universe is keep on expanding, you might be aware. Oh my God, trace to, the craving. Why? Because you are conditioned by ignorance. Otherwise you are in agyan. You think, that only when you have something which is not possessed by others, you are important. You are of, supreme possession. The scars thing, you have control over that. You are appreciated by everybody. You yield to that, ultimately, the opinions of others. You lose your identity finally. So, that you are conditioned by, that ignorance. Got the idea? Na? So, the craving runs along three tracks normally. That you long for, your wants, your desire runs for, you crave for sense pleasure. You want to eat, five senses. Sensory, eat, that smell, the touch sense, all those, the visual high, the air, nose, tongue, body, five senses, sensual pleasure. ஐந்தடக்கல், according to Thiruvalur, ஐந்தடக்கல், control your senses. You don't control your senses, you're a sophisticated guy, you're a comfort living guy, you are hedonist. Pleasure is better than pain. That's what your idea. Ultimately, you lose your identity. While enjoying pleasure, it should be, based on artha, dharma, kama, moksha. You know that the artha, the material you earn based on righteousness, dharma. Then you go for sensory pleasure, kama, pleasure in the world. Then you attain moksha. Of course, as said by Buddha, kaivalya, maybe enlightenment, maybe nirvana, the Jainism. You liberate, you get atma gyan. So the sensual pleasure, as long as you are shrouded in citrinbam, it's otherwise called. You are running after, less pleasure. It's not the greatest pleasure in the world. Because the moment you understand you are part of the greatest entity, the soul which has got the connectivity with the greatest soul, definitely you know that you won't indulge much in the hedonistic practices. Of course, you need, but their role is very limited. That should ensure your survival alone. Because moral excellence, not by those sensory pleasure, rather by the spiritual world, rather by intellectual world that you come to know. So you are craving for sensual pleasure, definitely you land up in dukh, sufferings. The moment you don't get right food, the quality food, tasty food, you're not happy. The very bitterness, the bitter smell, you're not happy. Yeah, the noise somewhere, you're not happy. But you have to discipline your mind, not perturbed by, not disturbed by those surroundings. That demands, the rigorous practice in you. Rigorous practice in you. Training in you. You're not disturbed by anything. We're talking about, of course, every day you struggle to have control over your that otherwise to win over your senses. They will try to dominate you, but your maturity, your ethicality, your thorough practice by meditation, by strict discipline, disciplining your mind, that you win. So that's why you are a wonderful human being. You understand? So craving for sensual pleasure or craving for continuity, already you are enjoying now, you are not ready to lose. All politicians, they don't want to lose. Even when they go to death ceremony, they want to be dead body. The importance. The priority. The ego. Came with nothing, go with nothing. Why this drama? Why this ego? One day, fine morning, you will get reduced to a tumbler of ash, a 6 feet distance. Today, but tomorrow, that same land will be allotted for someone else. If you don't build if you don't buy, if you don't build crematorium, and in the long run, it's also, that perishous. Come on. And there comes, encouragement. People will build buildings, government buildings, even private, land mafia will be there. The Sudugat to Ural. Come on, the graveyards. People not living there also. Oh my God. So you want to continue the same pleasure what you enjoy now. The ego, the status, the ill-gotten wealth, the illegal way with which you reach that power, you want to preserve. Because the moment you are out of power, all your materials, you amaze 15,000 crores. Come on, corrupt politicians. You can't preserve. You'll be going to jail. Kali. You have seen Kalanjar Karunanidhi, you have seen, that Jayalalitha, you have seen Sasikala. What lessons you are going to learn? Some of the guys having visited Tihar also, they are yet to be tamed. We are talking about, so craving for continuity and craving not to experience world. They are living in nothing. They don't want to experience, first of all. They don't want to have touch. Naysayers. Hey, come on. Tum chupur, chup raho. मैं कर सकता हूं, Eh? Oh my God, it is that way, craving not to experience the world, and they experience nothing. So this is all, that the three tracks, that the craving we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, and also, that how to end the cessation of dukh we are talking about. Bringing an end. What is the point? The final absence or non-arising of, the things that cause, the suffering. That got the point now, that cause suffering we're talking about. Absence. What is the point? So, that you are under, ignorance otherwise. The absence of the principles, the absence of the value system, that ultimately causes, that suffering or dukh you call ultimately. So the objective of, Buddhist spiritual process is to, that do away with this, dukh, sufferings. Come on, be detached. That is what the point. So eradicate that source of suffering by how? That ultimately, that by eradicating that source of suffering. What is the source of suffering? Attachment, the sensual pleasure, the craving for variety of things. Be detached. It is not an extreme situation like ascetic or monk life. Be moderate. Discipline your mind. So by eradicating the source of suffering, that's what we call you get liberated. Otherwise, you attain the state of nirvana. As Siddhartha attained nirvana, became Gautama Buddha Siddhartha, became founder of Buddhism. And removing all those causes, from, causes of suffering from your mind by disciplining your mind. Of course, that moment you do, you attain, the temporary nirvana and make it very permanent. By strict disciplining of your mind. Ladies and gentlemen, so why all these things happening ultimately? The ignorance of meanings and implications of the truth. It is because of the ignorance. You are in the state of agyan. You don't understand. Your craving, your longing, your wants, your complete attachment towards all those sensory pleasure, the consumer world, the material things, the comfort, the hedonism, strict practice of hedonism alone. So ultimately, what happened? There is misunderstanding. You never realize that there is a God in you. You are not in the real world. You are somewhere unrealistic. You don't understand one day, fine morning, you are going to die. You are going to give up everything. Nothing will come with you. And whatever the materials you amass one day, maybe in your absence, that one day, fine morning, the government, that understood that it's ill-gotten money, they're going to confiscate, attach with enforcement directorate will come and raid you, will attach all your properties. That's not going to be useful for the so-called your future generation. Otherwise, you make irresponsible future generation in front of your eyes, that within the short span of time, that guy will enter into, either Gindi race, otherwise he will participate in casino, don't worry. And he will go to, that share market scams. Otherwise, there will be another guy waiting there to cheat him, to cheat you, as you cheated the people. You can't escape from all these, cyclical activities. As you committed individual absurdity, there are so many guys waiting there to do the same for you. Karma theory. That way we are talking about. So, misunderstanding. You don't realize yourself. You don't understand the reality. You develop sense of misunderstanding. So you are in the state of ignorance. You don't understand the meanings and implications of the very truth. You stay away from truth. You stay away from detachment. That is why the moment you understand the truth, you detach yourself. You get liberated. You attain nirvana. We are talking about. So it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, of course, that eightfold path we are talking about. Ultimately how you can reach that, the nirvana. The attainment of nirvana, what we are talking about. So the path leading to the cessation, path leading to the end of dukkha we are talking about. How? The eightfold path, how he says, through right understanding, you have to understand first. And, having right mindset, right thought. And also ultimately what happens? Only when you have right thought, the thought leading to action, thought leading to speech, because language is the outcome of your mindset, right speech. And right action, I'm going to elaborate, don't worry. Right action, right thought will lead to right action. And also, ultimately that leads, that right kind of living. It is not existing, living a meaningful life. You start living. Be good, do good, ethical way of living. Ultimately, whatever efforts you take, that's, guided by ethicality. Dharma way, righteousness way. And also, that the mindfulness, that whenever you consume, things, that you know how to, you understand, it's very moderate. It is not consuming to the core. You conserve for the future also. Otherwise, maybe, that the mindfulness, maybe temperance, that tames your consumer behavior. Otherwise, that you stay away from intoxicating, that items, the materials, the substance abuse, otherwise, intoxicants, liquor, whatever maybe, or cigarettes, the tobacco products, whatever maybe. The mindfulness, the thing which destroys you, you are very conscious, and also finally you focus on what you do. Your concentration, your focus, that leads to your focus. All these things, when you strictly adhere to the disciplining your mind, rigorous discipline. So, right understanding, right, first you have to understand that the truth, then only it is possible. That keeps you in right mindset. So, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right living or livelihood, right efforts, right mindfulness, right concentration. The eightfold path. That that in the beginning, we have seen the dukh, the fourth track to reach that. To be free from that sufferings or dukh, anxiety, apprehension, dissatisfaction. You have to detach yourself from the worldly things. உலக துன்பங்களுக்கு காரணம் எல்லாம் ஆசையே, ஆசையை துறப்பதே மேலானது. Free yourself, detach yourself, from all those, that the desires, craving, longing for sensory pleasure. Definitely, that you are free from, that you are free from the clutches of, the sufferings. Otherwise, you get liberated, you attain nirvana. So, for that, all this, how you can ask me the means eightfold path. Let me little bit elaborate all this, that each and every one we are talking about. So, the path leading to the cessation, how? The eightfold path. This is what eightfold path. So that you are free from dukh, free from sufferings. Excuse me. The first three paths, that ultimately we are talking about, right understanding, right thought, right speech. The first three paths, of course, helps in understanding the nature of dukkha. The nature of dukh, what's suffering, you understand. Because you have to understand dukh. That keeps you in right spirit. Then ultimately, whatever you speak, the language, outcome of that understanding, the mindset you are talking about. So that says, that you understood dukh, the nature of dukh. The fourth path, of course, you are talking about the very action. The fourth path out of 8, fourth path, the right action is a practical means of overcoming dukh. Even the very Western moral thinkers, they say, that the Socrates and Plato, they say, knowing is doing. Aristotle says, oh, no, 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 no. Knowing is not doing. Have you used your brain? You have to apply. Knowing is not doing. Having known, if you don't apply in practical situation, what is the use? What do you do with what you have? You know everything. You know this is wrong, but in spite of that, you will resort to, because you want to survive, because you say you are practical, because you amass wealth for your future generation. They won't appreciate you. You create a thankless society, ungrateful society, future generation, by teaching them parallelly unethical means. Otherwise, what you do in a small scale, they will do it in a bigger way. They will bring, that ultimately shame to your, that whole generation of your own, the entire, that the human society. As Trump has brought shame on American society. The very banana republic moment, that the USA witnessed because of Trump, Oh my God. A guy, see, that is the craving for power, not ready to give up. Even after election, this guy is not ready to accept the mandate. Makkal Tirpe, Magesan Tirpe in Tamil Nadu, people say Tamil, Makkal Tirpe, we accept the word given by the popular mandate. So every, that leader got defeated should be magnanimous, should be open to that, the defeat. And we will work very hard. We will come up, that in the next election, and we will, that come up, and we will assure you, we will deliver more. It's the right time. Let me sit in opposition. Let me learn from this team. Don't you have that magnanimity? But craving for power, not ready to lose your power, because these guys are afraid. Once they come to power, all your that ill doings, the wrong doings, they are going to dig, and you will be brought to the book. It's all we are talking about. So it's that way. Fourth path, that it's not knowing the stuff as said by Western moral, as said by Aristotle. It's applying the practical means in action so that you overcome dukkha. It is not a policy paralysis, the paralysis of implementation. You've got variety of, that laws, kanun, the schemes, policies, programs, but implementation. That is why government is trying a different way, not in different way, in different forms. How? Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana, direct benefit transfer, because they avoid intermediaries. They avoid procedural delay, time delay, even lateral entry scheme. Why? So that what's the intention of the government? It is percolating down to the masses, that immediately, without corruption by intermediaries or corruption in kind by nepotism, favoritism, cronyism, or procedural delay, red tapeism, whatever may be. It's that way. So the paths are interconnected. Though we are talking about the eightfold paths as if they are all separate, discrete entity, but they are all interconnected. Without that right understanding, you will not have right thought. Without right thought, your speech, the language is the outcome of your right thought. And without right understanding, right thought, that you will not have right action. All paths are interconnected, you understand, and constitute a way of life, style of life that gives you a culture, a mature culture, a spiritual culture, a path that leads to that a liberation, a state of nirvana, peace, ecstasy, a state of bliss. First of all, as said by Swami Vivekananda, you have to understand you are basically fundamentally spiritual being undergoing human experience. By nature, you are the happiest person in the world. You just see the child, a newborn child, how happy it is. Maybe when it's needed food, it will cry, me. Once, fed, again happy. It's not bothered about what is this ideology, what is this ism, what is this community said, what that politicians, that swindling money, how we are going to cheat, everybody. What manifesto we can prepare, so that, people will get cheated. So that we can stash away money, black money. What is it? Nothing. The child is happy. Basically, you are happy. By nature, you are happiest person. But you did so many things in the world. You contaminated your soul. Once you understand, that once you practice all this, eightfold path, of course, you lead a life, the culture, which is the blueprint of society. There is a character in you. There is a personality in you. You get liberated from, the clutches of, all those sufferings, dukkha, because you are happy. So it is that way, the eightfold path, to end that dukkha we are talking about. So let's elaborate a little bit. So right understanding, it is intellectual aspect of the wisdom. The first step of the wisdom, you have to understand the knowledge first. First, know yourself. That is the first stage of the wisdom. Understand things, know yourself, then try to understand everything around you. So understanding is crucial, because it's not mere knowledge, it's not a factual knowledge, a mature knowledge. It's not mere, that you're talking about, a gyan otherwise, a mature knowledge. The wisdom you call it is that way. So intellectual aspect of the wisdom. Then ultimately that nurtures right thought in you. You've got right intention because of that. That keeps you with right psychic energy. Your psychological composure in such a way, which controls ultimately directs all your actions finally. So you resist all the openings of cravings. You shun away from all those activities yielding to the pleasures, sensual pleasures. You resist all those feelings of anger. Pannir Selvam, Poravaliye nerichi kollanum thonale. There is a movie. One movie came, Maniratna movie, Kshatriyan. That villain will ask, that the very hero. Those days, Vijaykanth, a police hero. Some Vijaykanth IPS. A lot of guys, in Tamil Nadu aspire to become IPS by seeing the roles of Vijaykanth. Vijaykanth, you might be a great actor, but he has got health issues, and he proved himself, in politics also. He's a fantastic gentleman. He did well, but of course, that nobody's free from criticism. Forget those movies. Ultimately, the villain will speak. Your anger. When things are not happening as you expected, you want to kill someone. Clear. Cook. You resist those feelings of anger, aversion, that some apathy. You don't want to see some people in your path. What is this? That aversion, that you resist, you don't yield to the temptations. You control yourself. You train your mind. You discipline your mind in that way. What is the avoiding thoughts of actions and violence? That is what in the world of ethics I say. The world of law, even after, when you violate law, when you are punished, after that you feel guilty. But in the world of ethics, even troubleshooting at the thought process, even thinking of violating. Oh, Babre. Oh my God, why I thought this way? Che, this moment, why that this way? You feel guilty. So, avoiding thoughts, that maybe you get, it's very natural, but you control. You allow that thought to die. It is not replacing. It's not stopping the thought. You allow. All thoughts, let them come. Watch, you travel with the thought. What's a thought, what will be the consequence? I'm not. I don't subscribe this thought. Come on, out. Bye. Next thought, come. It's that way. So avoiding thoughts, actions of violence. It's very easy. That's what it's very easy to defeat someone. It is very hard to win the hearts of everyone. If at all, that you get happiness by, that at the cost of somebody else, discomfort, this happiness will not long last. Because a guy who got defeated today in front of your eyes, he'll be waiting for his own turn to defeat you, to make you vulnerable. This is cyclic process, karma theory. What goes around comes around. Why? Just let me love you. I love you all. And not in the Trump way. I love you all. Go home. You are all fantastic. Having vandalized. It is not Trump way. I'm talking about, so avoiding thoughts, actions of violence. That action, outcome of your mindset, thought process, and also cruelty to animals. It is that way, and aggression that you show in all your actions. You call it as assertiveness, but it is aggression. And also, that cultivating, but instead, you please cultivate compassion, love, be compassionate. This is what, we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, that thought process. Not only that, the right speech, that, what is that? It is a root to moral discipline. Because language is the outcome of mind. I think, you are sitting in front of me, what I'm speaking, that adds value to my soul. I'm parallelly also, the transforming you. I believe with the blessings of Almighty God. I think I'm on my duty. Maybe my words, at least few words, if not everything. It's my humble attempt in front of you that keeps you in right spirit. So that, you avoid unnecessary, you never get yielded to the temptation because you know the consequences, because you have to keep the end in mind. You get liberated, otherwise, you understand, so that you don't waste your time, you are on focus, you are on duty, you become productive. That benefits not only you, that benefits society on the whole. Selfless service, altruism, that's what, all about. So right speech, that is a route to moral discipline. Because you are what you speak. The language is the outcome of the mindset. That nothing, that, so what you search in the Google, few terminologies, what you search everyday basis, if you calculate, that if we see that, we will tell you what's your mindset. And what is the value system that you are for. It's over. To abstain from, to abstain from telling lies. Ettikaram pulugu, ettu nalu. Oh my God. And speaking deceitfully, I see some people, that they are very keen in telling lies. They will tell lie one day and they will forget that lie. After 2 to 3 months, that they will tell, they would have forgotten this lie. They'll be telling new version of lie. Well, I see a lot of people like that. I have strong pity towards them. I'm sorry. I used to tell, I don't want this drama. You do. But they think, that by doing all, indulging in all these, practices, they are thinking, they are winning. They are not winning. They are miserably failing in front of my eyes. I know what is the end. Unfortunately, they are yet to realize that because they are very busy. They are very busy with practical sense. Probably, all their talks will be moderate the moment they come to talk to me because they know. I will ask question. They don't have answer for that. What happens, right? To abstain from telling lies, that maximum possible. Why? But it's very difficult, I understand. But of course, there comes another question. That when the outcome is going to benefit the community, the society, it's going to lead the selfless service I'm talking about, not about the selfish motive. Definitely you can lie. பொய்மையும் வாய்மை இடத்தே புரை தீர்ந்த நன்மை பயக்கும் எனின். That's according to Thiruvalluvar, Tirukkural. That came on mains question. Come on, same meaning. You just go through previous year question. When it is going to benefit the greater humanity, say out of 10 people, 9 people going to benefit more. They are going to lead good life, happy life, nothing wrong. End justifies means. But not for selfish motive, but for the greatest interest of the community you do, the society you do, not for your selfish sake. That lie you do for the sake of your, the humanity, the collectivity, not for yourself. And and misleading. How long? You can fool some people. That's what Abraham Lincoln also joining, Buddha here. You can fool some people sometime, some people all the time, all people sometime, not all the people all the time. How long you are going to? One day fine morning, the people say, na, engal kaigal vongum. Some director, that representing Dalit community, that guy says, Oru naal engal kaigal vongum. That's why retaliatory politics from Dalit community now. How long you are going to cheat them? The oppressed, suppressed will retaliate back. That way we are talking about. So, you have to avoid malicious, slanderous speech, of course. Why? Because the language, the language is the outcome of the mind. The language, what you use, that also influences you. That also influences you. You should be encouraging. You should be energizing. You should not be full of negativity. I'm afraid every day morning, the moment you turn on TV, full of negativity. The social network full of negativity. I'm afraid. Oh my God. I just want to read some, fantastic quotes from some great people. You come across suggested, contaminated. You are getting contaminated. Almost like tabloid. You are getting opinionated. No truth. Full of negativity. It's better to not to open. Stay away from social network. Maybe that's going to be part of the preachings in future. Because majority. But at the same time, there comes, whatever may be the external surrounding situation, as long as you've got a mind which is well trained, disciplined, you're not getting affected by anything. You know how to. When TV came, people said idiot box. But I learned English, that my exposure to the world through the very idiot box, what you call TV only, television only. When car came, people said, we have got already hearts, why you need car? So all, that new discoveries, but in what way you make use of, that all those, that new inventions, discoveries for the benefit of the humanity, collectivity, not for your sake alone. So to avoid malicious, slanderous speech, that restrain, control. The moment you have this touch, ultimately, that you feel, why this? I don't like to, please, sorry. I'm sorry. Mat karo. Nahi chahiye. You get every day 10 to 15 calls. You want, sir, do you want that insurance? Do you want this, that credit card? You'll go to the extent of angry, but you say, no, thank you. That's all. Why scolding? After all, that guy, getting some salary to feed his family. Come on. Thank you. Sorry, thank you. That's all. So no malicious. It's a waste of time. That you are destroying the personality in the other side. When there is a God in you, there is God in him also. Respect the God. Sorry, thank you. Over. So to avoid malicious and slanderous speech, and also to refrain from idle chatter. That idle mind is devil's workshop. Gossiping. Uttu paru peswan. Vai kidaya oorukku. But avan veetla enna kuppa theriyadu. Guy, that he is not, that take control of his own home. Order. But this guy will be judgmental about, what's happening all around everywhere. Idle chatter, because you get a lot of time. So keep yourself busy, be focused, indulge in productive activity, speak only, that positive or possibilities, not impossibilities. Because, otherwise, when you are on mission, when you got a vision, when you are on purpose with direction, there is a song, Bharati song, Ummulla porul illayo. நிற்பதுவேன் நடப்பதுவேன் பரப்பதுவேன் நீங்கள் எல்லாம் அற்பமாயைகளு உன்னில் ஆழ்ந்த பொருள் இல்லையோ. Do you lack the depth of purpose? That's what the meaning. if you got a purpose, if you got a vision, if you got a mission, if you got a depth in understanding, no whiling away, no waste of time. You won't unnecessarily engage, unnecessarily indulge in all those things. It is that way we are talking about. So, right speech, we are talking about, that. So, right action, what is that? All these things, it's not knowing the stuff, knowing to, that perform the stuff, knowing to do the stuff, that it's doing. It's doing it, do it kindly, compassionately. Come on. Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta. This is the way I used to see in one post office when I was young. Delhi, Mumbai. That guy lacks passion. He'll be, doing that stamping. Oh my God, that guy will be getting. There are guys, aspiring for that central government job, the position. But having entered, getting salary, but that guy, it became, the stereotype for him. Come on, throw away, go away. You live for someone else. When the flight is not taking off, why you are sitting in the plane? We are talking about. So, that you have to do it kindly. It's not what you deliver, rather how do you deliver? Passionately. You have compassion. As if God has, that has sent you for this particular purpose. I believe God has sent me to teach you, to transform you. It's God-given opportunity for me. I thank God. It's my humble attempt so that I maybe my few efforts may be transforming you. So that that you become, a man of ethicality, women of ethicality. It's not only, the transforming your personality, you score more, you become topper. It's God-given opportunity for me. The moment I think that way, I take it very sincerely. Because I've got purpose, I've got direction also. So kindly, do it kindly and compassionately. It becomes, masterpiece then. Day by day, you do that, because excellence is not an act; it's a habit. Because you are what you repeatedly do. That's what Aristotle says. It's not an act; it's a habit. You work towards moral excellence all round. So right action, do it kindly. It's not come on. It's not throwing away. Yes, the soulful rendition, whatever may be. So, the kindly, compassionately you do. That's fantastic we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you to the next level. Yes, what is that? So, right livelihood, all these things definitely you lead fantastic life. So, based on dharma, as said by, the Kalam, let me recall Dr. Kalam here. That I recall my Rahila Bilal madam. What is that? My teacher in my college, of course. She's fantastic. She's principal there, I believe. That, what is that? Now HOD. She's HOD there. I say HOP. What is that? When there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. See, Dr. Kalam, as long as you are strictly adhering to dharma, righteousness, not only your beauty in the character, that leads to harmony in the home. That leads to order in the nation, peace in the world. You just see right livelihood. Follow righteous means of, that earning bread. ஊற அடிச்சு உலையில கொட்டக்கூடாது. அதர பதற சம்பாரிச்சா கதற கதற போய் சேரும். These are all the words from, the Tamil. Don't worry. That ill-gotten money will never stay with you for long. It has got its own consequences. Not taking the not given. கேட்டுல வாங்குறான். People are nowadays indulging in bribing activities. That they are forcing. Otherwise, you won't get. It is not, Buddha says, not taking the not given. That's not meant for you. That's not yours. Oh my God. So righteousness, the means, it's through righteousness, dharma, you earn your bread and butter. And through legal ways and through non-violent ways. Ultimately, this will, over the days, what will happen? You won't kill animals. And you will also hesitate to kill plants. There comes another justification. Following avoidance, so it's ultimately what happened, that, there are guys with norms, even in the business, that even I've seen a lot of grocery shops, they will say, I'm not a smoker, first of all, I don't take tobacco products, that person used to say, we never sell, the tobacco products in our shop. We don't want money. But, for your kind information, you come to Tamil Nadu, not only Tamil Nadu, there are some states, they are selling liquors. Are you aware? Taskmark, it's called in Tamil Nadu. The government has got, the target. They want to work towards 30,000 crores turnover. When Corona was there, Of course, for some time, that they stopped task they shut down, but that it is illicit market where all politicians cutting across different political parties involved in every locality. The sales gone up. Are you aware of this? This is called Corona task corruption. So government making everybody drunkard, intoxicated, ultimately making unhealthy future generation. What you're going to build? Your growth, economic growth, the generation of revenue for state administration at the cost of future generation. I'm not talking about, of course, Somabana, Surabana from ancient days. Let it be. But it has become like, the 3 square meals a day. A guy, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, the worker entering into, standing in the queue there. The roadside you see, and there are a lot of task shops, nearby temples, nearby, the schools. And think about, the young girl, child, that children, going to the school, crossing all these task shop. How come you can allow ladies to travel that way? Law and order issue. But they want money at the end of the day. They've got organization for that. You earn money at the cost of future generation. By making them sick, ultimately you will be announcing health insurance scheme. What is the use here? A healthy guy will be spoiled by your, unethical activity, unethical governance. Finally, you got, hospital to take care of him. Who needed that? It is postmortem. Simply saying in Tamil, அவன் தாலி அறுத்து உனக்கு எதுக்குயா காசு? உன் வீட்லயும் பொம்பளைங்க இருக்காங்க. So we are talking that way. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, that when these guys are going to learn, oh my God. It is that way we are talking about, the righteous means, of earning, all these things we are talking about. So dealing with weapons. And dealing with, that, so there are guys, they won't deal with weapons. What happened in the United States of America? In the troubled nations, they used to, in the name of brokering peace, they will sell weapons to both nations. That's what hypocrisy. But what happened today? Their own kids are, killing each other by shooting. In the school educational institutions, children are shooting because they got gun license. The future of America lives in jails. The economy, you grew up, by selling weapons. The very weapons, destroying your economy now. You're destroying your young generation, future generation. So, there are guys, in the business, that dealing with weapons, they don't give approval. And dealing with, slave trade. Those days, this is Buddha, Siddhartha, during Mahajanapadha's period. We're talking about ancient India. So, and also animal slaughtering. Even today, the government, of course, we are talking about the very government talking about, the ban on, all those beef, everything, which is said to be the major exporter of, the beef to the world. Are you aware? And recently only they have taken initiative to stop that. Are you aware of it? But that gives religious color also. But on environmental ethics you speak. The protecting other species that way. So that working, that in the meat production or budget, the butchery we are talking about. So meat production, of course, there are guys with that particular ethics, they may not be indulging in. They avoid. And also selling intoxicants or poisons. Government itself resorting to that. And there comes, justification. The moment you stop all of a sudden toxic, the task mark, all of guy will become more, the mad. See, you made him sick. Now you got justification to continue the same. Come on, create rehabilitation center. Maybe, that you just give up. You get loan from everywhere. 5 lakh crores you got loans to steal the money for your sake, not for the development activity. Why can't you do something for rehabilitation measures of all those liquor addicted? Maybe 1 or 2 years after that they will come back, right? Initiate them for the healthy life. It's not taking part in productive activities, selfish amazement of wealth and going to Tihar jail finally. Come on. So selling intoxicants or poisons, you avoid that. All these things we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, not only that, right effort. The psychic energy, whatever efforts you take, with the so-called mindset, understanding, which produce, you are always keeping yourself in that particular mental state. The socio-psychological condition we are talking about, that leads to, that self-discipline. First, you should be disciplined. Satan can't preach Vedas. Satan can't preach Diktak. First, you should be a disciplined guy. Then only you can be a leader. You should be a honest person. Got the idea? Now, ultimately, what happens? That leads to, disciplined way of life, practice of honesty and talking about, selfless service to others. And also you are compassionate to all human beings and other species also. So that keeps you, that it is that path. வாடிய பயிரை கண்டபோதெல்லாம் வாடினேன். ஜீவகாருண்ய principle may be compassion. Be kind to every kind, not only mankind. When the right efforts you take into account, your efforts towards promoting, or reinforcing all these values. So you understand, all these values we speak part of, ethical values. So how, the Buddhism speaks those values, Hinduism speaking those values, and various thinkers like Western moral thinkers, Indian ethics, the spiritualism, and Western intellectualism, the Indian orthodoxy, heterodoxy, everything talks about, these values. Now we are talking about, that heterodox, that religions of India, Hinduism, of course, they're called otherwise, Buddhism and Jainism. Today we are discussing the Buddhism, the founder of Buddhism, of course, the Siddhartha, Gautama Buddha Siddhartha, who attained, that nirvana under Bodhi tree, who liberated himself from the clutches of, Dukh. Though he is born, aristocratic family, that he learned the middle path, the eightfold path, the four noble truths we are talking about. And also, that the very disciplining mind we are discussing. So, the right mindfulness, of course, the cognitive process, cognitive, cognizance, awareness to understand things, your effort to understand things, and through four foundations of mindfulness. Mind yourself, mindfulness. What is the point? The contemplation of the body. First, that think about body. How you can, you should not harm the body by taking intoxicants. Contemplation of the feelings, sometimes you take spicy items, it has got, the food what you take, that will induce a special kind of emotion, the body reaction or adrenaline rush also sometimes. Your feelings are getting influenced by your intake also. And also, the contemplation of the state of mind, that affects your state of mental peace, or you stay agitated. The foods what you take, ultimately the contemplation that influences the whole process. Finally we are talking about, so the temperance, you rationalize your consumption behavior. Too much of everything is bad. Alavukku meerinal amirthamum nanju. We're talking about it is that way, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you right, right concentration. When you strictly adhere to all those practices, definitely you will be focused. Single pointedness. ஆரிய கூத்தானாலும் காரியத்துல கண்ணா இருக்கணும், எங்க அம்மா சொல்லுவாங்க. So you should be always keep an eye over your target. When that when Arjuna was asked by, of course, Dronacharya, that do you see that trunk of the tree? But Arjuna said, no, I see only that neck of that pigeon while aiming. புறாவோட மரம் தெரியுதா, மரம் கிளை தெரியுதா? நோ, புறாவோட கழுத்து மட்டும்தான் தெரியுது. That focus. For that you should be free from that idle talk, gossiping. Engage yourself. Sithiramam kaipalakam sendamizhum naapalakam. Day by day you will reach towards perfection. Don't worry. The single pointedness focus, that because that excellence is not an act, it's a habit that comes by practice. Single pointedness of mind through three golden rules. How? Taking refuge in Buddha. Buddham saranam kachami. Dharmam saranam kachami. You would have heard about in movies. Same thing. Take refuge in Buddha, preachings of Buddha. Take refuge in Dharma, righteousness. Take refuge in Sangha, monastery. Periyor Tunai Kodal. That's what you talk now. Oh my God, that when you strictly adhere to, of course, the same value system of ethics, you see, that is what, it's right time to recall, Swami, of course, the Ramana Maharishi of Tiruvannamalai. The truth is same, but manifestations are different. Truth is same, but manifestations are different. The values system same, ethical values, but you find same in different religions and from different thinkers, philosophers, social scientists, at different points of time, different parts of the world. You understand? So it is right time to recall Swami Vivekananda. What he said, all religions are true, because they are different paths to the same destination, like different rivers from mountains, reaching ultimately the ocean. Paths are different, destination same. Unity in diversity, the universal acceptance, tolerance, the core principle of Hinduism. It's not only Hinduism, in all religions are speaking same truth. The truth that you are part of the greater entity. You came for a particular purpose, you're going to join back once the purpose is over. The body is given opportunity. You train your mind in such a way to be part of that greater purpose. So it is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Different, the paths leading to the same destination, different paths, otherwise called different manifestations of the same truth, ethics, called principles, standards, value system, that ultimately guiding you whenever you are perplexed, so that, you lead happiest life, because you're basically a spiritual human being undergoing human experience as a Vivekananda. By nature, you are happiest person in the world, but the way with which you did something, you contaminated, you acted as an obstacle in the path of happiness. Just do away, that as you see a great statue out of a rock, what you did? The beautiful statue was inside the rock. You just chiseled out all those rubbles, that stopping from revealing the beautiful statue. You did all those chiseling. Finally, you reveal the fantastic, beautiful statue out of the rock. There is a beautiful rock in you. There is a beautiful statue in you. The God in you, Almighty. You unleash that potential. There is a boson particle in you. Godliness in you. The happiest, the creature you are. You have to understand it is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So, what is the point? If you speak that way, what about, the very Buddhist, the Buddha's prescriptions for the family and society, that the children should be imparted intellectual education. What is intellectual? It is wisdom based. It's not, factual figures based. The mature knowledge should be shared so that they understand life. That keeps them with right spirit. The children should take care of their own obligation, responsibility, gratitude, that they have to take care of aged parents. You have to respect aged parents. Respect the umbilical cord connectivity. தொப்புள் கொடி உறவு. பெத்த ஆத்தாலே மதிக்கலனா இவெல்லாம் என்ன பண்ண போறான்? ஊர்ல இருக்கிற அரசியல்வாதி அம்மா காலில் விழுவான், செப்பல் எடுத்து கொடுப்பான். ஆத்தாளுக்கு சோறு போட்டியாடா? The guys ultimately, all political leaders, they will touch their feet. You respect your dad and mom. The umbilical cord connectivity. The children should take care of aged parents. It's a show of gratitude. First, you become leader of your family. Later, you can think about leader of, that other entities. Take care of your family members. So, disciples, that they have to respect the teachers. The students, you have to respect, venerate the teachers, because they are your gurus. Therefore, you're transforming your lives. கற்றுக் கொடுப்பவரெல்லாம் ஆசிரியர் அல்ல. எவரிடமிருந்து கற்றுக்கொள்கிறோமோ அவரே ஆசிரியர். All the teachers are not teachers in the world. Only the teachers out of them, that you learn, you transform. They were instrumental in inculcating value system in you. They are called gurus. They are no more teachers. They are called gurus. I've got a lot of gurus in my life. Even all these people are gurus to you. If you are sensitive enough, you can learn even from a young kid. Do you have that sensitivity? So disciples have to respect their teachers. It is that out of respect, obedience. Of course, that the teachers have to instruct the peoples, that art, science, this is according to him. The more than that, the virtue, the value system, this is what ethics. Knowledge is virtue. That's Western moral thinkers. Socrates, Plato, we spoke already. The virtue, the ethics, the principles, the standards, because, inculcation of the value system by socialization through various agents of socialization. You internalize finally. So, it is a husband's duty to treat his wife affectionately and observe, that the marital fidelity, that whether men or women, the marital fidelity, you have to understand obligation, the responsibility, and also you have to treat with affection. Unfortunately, what happened? You respect things. You use, the human being. We use human beings. We respect things. What is this? You are supposed to use things and respect human beings. As categorical imperative said by, Immanuel Kant, you might be aware, all human beings should be treated as ends, not as means. Unfortunately, we use them. We exploit them. That's what is happening in the world. So they should be treated affectionately. That there is a soul. There is a woman, she is a goddess. There is a soul in her. There is a God in her. You have to respect that God. So it may be your kid, your daughter, your son, but it has got a soul. You should respect that soul. There is godliness. You have been given opportunity to nurture, that's all. Your obligations are limited, not taking for granted. Then it will touch the break-even point one day, fine morning, over. So the wife to manage the household, got the idea, no? The wife to manage the household wisely. It's your responsibility. It is not participating only clubs and gossiping. And you have to take care of your immediate responsibility. And be faithful that whether husband or wife I'm talking about, you faithful. And of course, there may be, that you are broad-minded, the love, affection, but that the priority and also loving, care. It should be born out of affection, love, acceptance. It's not belittling always. Of course, in practice, we find deviation. The moment you feel guilty, you correct yourself, you say sorry, you gel. It may not be always, as expected like this. There may be some deviation, but you understand the truth, the flavor will guide you. That's what we are talking about. So this is, that not only that, the master to treat servants, those days, that slave trade where the master versus servants, master versus slaves. And that they should be compensated. Maybe you apply the modern day world, that the employees pay compensation adequate. It is not exploiting them. If you exploit them, one day fine morning, you will be thrown. If you don't keep your employees happy, they won't keep you in business. If you don't keep your customers happy, they won't keep you in business. If you don't keep employers, if you don't keep employees happy, they won't keep you in business. Finally over. One day fine morning, there won't be business. That's the point we are talking about. And they should be given sufficient rest. It's not exploitation. If there is no rest, ultimately, it's that there should be restoration period, rejuvenation period. We should allow some time for conservation. We're talking about. So the moment it goes, beyond that, the level of exploitation that goes beyond the accepted or permissible level, it's over. The system gets collapsed. You are talking about. So the servants, that to be faithful, contented, that stay, that so that it is not, that you are greedy. You are servant. Your contribution is less, but you want to be like your employer. How come then? You will never get contentment. That's a problem. Rather, that you augment your contribution, your skill sets. Probably there is a possibility, and you can live cheerfully. Got the idea? Now, the people should acquire the qualities of that liberalism, the value of liberalism or liberality, of course, courtesy, respecting others, the kindness and selflessness, not selfishness, selflessness, altruism. So these and all, for family and society, the prescriptions from Buddhism we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. You can also refresh yourself parallelly. Am I shouting? Is my modulation is shouting for you? Please tell me. I'm ready to alter. Maybe that I speak my heart when I speak with you. Wow. Great. It's a good touch, na? So you should know what is the ideal condition. At least in practice, that will tame all your actions, right? So in the name of ethics, that I think I've been given opportunity, right? So overcome, hatred with love. How Buddha overcomes, the hatred. One day he was given, that one guy came and scolded. All his disciples said, how come, you are silent? This guy is scolding you. He said, my child, you give me a present. If I don't accept the present, what will happen? That will stay with the person who tried to give you. Yes, I don't accept his present. Over. So for the hatred, some people nurture to show love. That leads to acceptance. You may be the prime minister. Even for the opposition party, you are the prime minister. Even for antisocial elements, in jails, for them also we are prime minister. Come on. So we have to show love. It is that way. And evil, we win those evils by our good, by our ethics. Inna செய்தாரை ஒருத்தல் அவர் நாண நன்னயம் செய்துவிடல். That is a Tirukural. Even though there are guys, that doing, harming you, you do always good. You don't lower your standard. Let them lower. Don't react. Respond. So overcome the hatred by your love. Overcome the evil by your good, by your ethicality, by your principles, by your standards. One day, fine morning, they will realize and come back. They will join you. There will be celebration then. There will be collective contribution then. Then there will be collective focus, collective goal, collective vision. What it demands? Passion. Passions from you. Love from you. Acceptance from you. You win over. Don't try to defeat anybody. Try to win the hearts of everyone. It's that way. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. I'm not talking, this particular slogan may not be applicable when it comes to borders. There comes different, value system. Yes, so returning, good, that for good is great, but returning good for evil is greater. That's next level. See, the principle of, that non-violence, ahimsa, how stubborn Mahatma Gandhi. Even if you try to kill me, I will ensure in that path of your killing, in your path of your mission of killing me, I will ensure even my nails are not hurting so that you can comfortably kill me. Please give me few seconds. Let me cut my nail. Before you kill me, let me cut my nails. Because when you try to kill me, even my nails should not hurt you. How is it? Ah, oh my God. So that demands strong courage. Non-violence cannot be practiced by the cowards. Only courageous people can, because that involves the sacrifice. The courage, we are talking about that way. So what happens, right? A man to lead by law, righteousness and equity is just. Of course, that rule of the law, you respect, dharma, you respect, and equity is just. What is that? Ultimately, the justice or fairness, by understanding the unique problem. It's not equality. It's not treating all as equal. As I told you many times, right? One shoe cannot fit everyone. Fit for all approach will never work. We are talking about. So it's that way. So refrain from injuring others. We are talking about. Refrain from harming others, because that it's karma theory. It will come. What goes around comes around. Refrain from injuring others by words, by deeds, by thoughts even. But of course, that this is Buddha's. Even already he said, part of that your ethic, the eightfold path, even thoughts. The right, right thought, right action, right speech, you might be aware of. So refrain from injuring others. Don't hurt others by words or by deeds. Even the slanderous speech, we spoke already. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. Not only that, so, all this, the thinking of barbarism leads to violence. All, the barbaric activities definitely leading to violence. The barbarous thinking. But whereas, what is culture, real culture? As long as you practice, the compassion and non-violence, you're said to be man of culture, women of culture. The culture is all about, respecting the value system, ahimsa, compassion. And also the purity of heart is always free from malice, greed, delusion. Got the idea? That's what purity of heart. The moment it gets contaminated, impure, of course, everything happens opposite. You might be aware. So anger, jealousy, and evil emotions, you have to do away with all those things. That's what it's all about. That's what Swami Vivekananda said. That religion is all about being and becoming. So Buddha says, experience yourself, train your mind, discipline your mind, be moderate. Eightfold path, four noble truths. What? For what? We are talking about everything what we are talking about. Yes. 1 second. Yes. And also, that he recommends, as said by, that the very Aristotle, the golden means, don't touch extremes. Try to travel in the middle path, be moderate. Take moderate route. What is that? The middle course, that it steers between extreme self-denial and excessive pursuit of, the material pleasure. Excessive pursuit of, the material pleasures we are talking about. You have to strike in between, a balance between extreme self-denial. Who asked you to lead, monk, saint life, and who asked you to live that, Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi life, extravagant life. Try to meet your needs, not greed. It is, that selfishness creates that longing for, the wants, all craving, that leads to suffering. The all suffering because of the craving, because of your attachment to worldly things. பற்றற்று இரு, பற்று வைத்தால் சிக்கிக் கொள்வாய், மாட்டிக் கொள்வாய். Be detached. The moment you are attached, gone. Be detached. எதுலையும் மாட்டிக்கூடாது. வழுவுற மீன்ல நழுவுற மீன். There are people like that, well. It's that way. So by regulating the cravings through self-discipline, that the cravings through self-discipline, one can enter the path of enlightenment, the liberation, the nirvana. So you go for self-discipline, train your mind by strictly adhering to moderate path. So definitely you will get, liberation, the nirvana. So, that Buddhism, that does not advocate the rigorous asceticism and mortifying the body. Got the idea, na? It is not that way. So be moderate, even in the worldly life, be moderate. That's what the preaching, we are talking about. So psychological needs to be taken care of to reach the composure, that for meditation. Got the idea, na? So all your psychological needs, you keep your mindset in a proper way by indulging in meditation, by practicing meditation. All your bad thoughts will go off. You will understand the state of bliss. All stress will get relieved. A clear-cut thought. First, body stays composed. Your mind will be perfectly all right. Naturally, your thought process. Naturally, your productivity. So avoid extremes of human contact. That's what moderation. Strike a balance between hedonism, the extreme pleasure, and asceticism. Once again, the same different manifestation of similar point we are talking about. So active and good life in the service of humanity, not for your sake alone. The altruism in the service of humanity. This is what we are going to elaborate in the next level. What is that? Altruism advocates, that universal compassion. Vadiya pairai kandabodellam vadine. Whenever I see a plant is dying, I feel as if I'm dying. I'm dying. So advocates universal compassion. We are talking about the benevolence and kindness to all life forms. That. So it's almost, be kind to every kind, not only mankind. This is the spirit of environmental ethics we are talking about. He was against animal sacrifices. That even today in Hinduism, that you got people in the local deities, animal sacrifice. Ata, என் புள்ள ஐஏஎஸ் வாங்கிட்டா நான் அவளுக்கு ஆடு கொடுக்குறேன், கெடா வெட்டுறேன். In Coimbatore region, there is a belief, கெடா வெட்டுறது, animal sacrifice. Then they will, that supply biryani. And there are also some, the Ponnar Shankar, one ritual there, that of course, a lot of animal sacrifices. ஏன் ஒன்ன வெட்டுறது, உன் கையை வெட்டி கொடுக்கறது, நரம்பு. ஐயோ, டேய் பேசாதடா, தெய்வ குத்தம், ஆத்தா. Please forgive him. Your mother will say, don't speak that way. இதுக்கா உன்னை காலேஜுக்கு அனுப்புன? So against animal sacrifices, ultimately, that I'm speaking Tamil, don't worry. So our practice, animal sacrifices, rigid occupational classification. That's, of course, caste system. So Buddhism is against the, caste hierarchy and its orthodoxy. And also they are not ready for, Ashwamedha yaga. You might be aware. That ultimately, the horse sacrifice, you are aware, no? Lot of rituals of Vedic society, that they are totally against it. And religious, metaphysics, abstractness. That, in the name of the abstract God, that you cheat, that the religion should be very simple. It's not outside. It's, that as Swami Vivekananda said, being and becoming. But here they say, by disciplining your mind, you lead good life. That's important. That they are against all this, the practices. You understand what the very Buddhism promotes. That Buddhism did not discuss God and soul in detail as Hindu scriptures, that do. Because their preoccupation, that how you can lead good life. Got the idea, na? So they did not, touch much about it, much elaboration as it is done in the case of, Hinduism. So the very Buddhism also moved away from mere ceremonialism, the rituals and ceremonies done away with. And to ways of reducing, that the human misery and increasing, human happiness. That so all these ritual and ceremonies always are, ultimately puts you in trouble. You are completely shrouded in the world of misconception, superstition, not even knowing the very purpose of those rituals because you forget the purpose. What way, that the happiness on the part of the human can be increased. That became, priority. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. To be self-conscious and live, that otherwise, that live in the present. That is what. Are you alive? Live up to the moment. That is what I used to say. Say now time is, let me say this way, 10:29, maybe let me say 40 seconds. 10:29, 40 seconds. But if you are living in 39 seconds, the 40 second is gone. If you are worried about the 41 second of this 10:29, by the time also this 40 second gone. When you are worried about, that past, when you are afraid of your future, what will be the next 41, 41st second? by the time the 40th second is gone. What is the justice you have done to this 40th second? Don't worry about the past and fear about the future, the apprehension about the future by the time you lost your present. The worry is the misuse of your imagination. Who gave you authority? Don't live in the past, you lose your present. Don't fear about future, you lose your present. So live up to the moment we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, what is, that because, when you are there, 100% your devotion, whatever you do. The soulful rendition I'm talking about. It's not preoccupied somewhere. It's not that way we are talking about. So, it's in a calm frame of mind, that so that you ensure calm frame of mind, you stay, that. So the people calm and composed, we call them Buddha, not Buddhus. Buddha. Randai, yes. Eh? You stay composed because, strict practitioner of emotional intelligence. So you avoid activities, because, that causes suffering, because, that no desire, no craving, no attachment. Otherwise, it is moderate because you strictly adhere to eightfold path. Definitely, you are free from the sufferings, clutches of sufferings. You get liberated from the sufferings. You get nirvana. You shun activities, that ultimately, that which result in remorse and anxiety. ரோட்ல போற ஓனானை எடுத்து வெளியில போற ஓனானை எடுத்து எதுக்கு வேட்டிக்குள்ள விட்டுக்குவானே. Don't invite all those troubles unnecessarily and later you feel bad. That way we are talking about. Yes, it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, right? Let me take you to the next level. Of course, the very Buddhism and ethics when we are talking about, of course, no doubt a Buddha as a spiritual leader, undoubtedly one of the most influential figures of all the times. Even today he is relevant. You see the very value system he stood for in the name of, Buddhism, the preachings. After 49 days of, deep meditation, he attained, that enlightenment. Of course, you call nirvana under Bodhi tree, and found all the answers he had been seeking for. Do you have that strong determination? There comes question. The vairagya. Do you have that vairagya? So he spent the rest of the life, traveling and preaching the very dharma, to all those who wanted to follow the path of enlightenment. That he is responsible. What do you call brahmacharin, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasin in Hinduism. The sannyasin, of course, that that path of enlightenment. The traveling and preaching. Even Ashoka sent his, sons and son and daughter. That you might be aware, to preach. That went to Sri Lanka. They went to Sri Lanka. They preached, Buddhism there. You might be aware. It is that way we're talking about. So Buddha's lives and teachings serve as the foundation of Buddhist religion, and he is considered to be one of the 10 major avatars of Vishnu. That he's considered as one of the the avatar you call. Na? It is that way the Hindu god of preservation, the very Vishnu, is considered as that Vishnu avatar, the 10 major avatars of Vishnu. Buddha is also considered that way. You might be aware. So the basic preaching of that Buddhism: be compassionate and be humanistic. The compassionate, that the humanistic, already. This is what the preachings of, that the Buddhism, the preaching of love, the gospel of love we are talking about, teaching of love, and ultimately expecting you to cultivate love for all creations. You are not alone. There are other species too. Be kind to every kind, not only mankind. Environmental ethics, and also the precepts of Buddhism. Let me that condense it into that 5 we are talking about. It is that way. What is that? That they are otherwise called core ethical code or distillation of ethical principles we are talking about. They are not rules or commandments. They are principles of training. That they guide you. Otherwise, we are talking about to some extent. That they can be undertaken freely, but not by force. And they can be put into practice, by your intelligent sensitivity, the consciousness. You're free to choose them. Because, but in spite of that, you have to understand, but life is very complex and throws up many difficulties. Are you aware of this? Though we speak all these things, value system, you have to understand, life is very complex and which throws up many difficulties. Are you aware of this? Let me tell you one story for you. You like story? There was a small boy, and he had one rabbit at home, the pet rabbit. very affectionate towards that pet animal, rabbit. One day, fine morning, that he is playing, young kids now, how they will be singing song and walking and going with that, rabbit, walking in the street, ultimately reaching his own, the field, the agriculture field. And when he was towards that agriculture field, that with his own, pet, the benevolent rabbit, both were happy. They could witness one pond in the neighborhood next to his land, agricultural land. So what happened, right, in that particular land, the very pond, of course, that there was a crocodile. The crocodile keep on calling everybody. Don't ask, sir, will crocodile speak? This is story. When I'm speaking, the story also speaks. Even crocodile, the story will speak. You listen? Please listen. What happened? So there was a fisherman, who was spreading, that net, who had already done the, spreading of net. That's for fish. But what happened, right? Unfortunately, the people weren't aware. There was, the crocodile, for long period never surfaced. That got up, that came under the, net. Now caught up. Now it is appealing. The fisherman was not there. Now it's appealing. Hello, everybody. Anybody there? Can you please help me? Come on. This fisherman, that heartless guy, he wanted to take fish, but that see how this net, he caught me. You please release me. I want to enjoy the life. I want, that I should have my own freedom. Come on, anybody, help me. Nobody is listening. People were afraid. Once released, what this crocodile may eat away, na? If that starts eating you, what you will do? So ultimately, what happened, right? In that way. So this guy, that kind-hearted guy, a small guy, went with, that rabbit. Now ultimately went, no, if I'm, that releasing you from the net, what will happen? Now you will eat me. Now no, believe me. Come on, that way. What you do? Come on, let me promise you, I won't eat you. Mummy promise. That guy, the kid asked, no, mummy promise. Yeah, I won't eat you because you are helping me. After all, how come I can eat you? That guy, young guy, small kid, got misguided by the sweet words of, crocodile. What happened? Na? Ultimately, he started, that ultimately cutting the net and trying to release. When he was trying to release the crocodile, the ungrateful crocodile, what happened? Na? Immediately captured the boy. That started, that swallowing the boy. Especially he that captured the legs of the boys. Now the boys, 2 legs inside the mouth of the crocodile. Now the same, the music you start hearing from boy. Now boy, ultimately calling everyone, anybody there? Anybody there? See this, the tankless, crocodile. I thought, it was under trouble when I was trying to release the crocodile. That it started, that swallowing me. Come on, anybody? Anybody, please come and help me. Anybody there? So nobody is trying because I told you, na, you should not, that's what called crocodile tears. You should not believe. It's deceptive. You should not believe this crocodile. It's always ungrateful. Nobody came now. Why you did? You went now on your own now. Come on, you suffer. Nobody is coming forward to help the boy. What is this world? Thankless world. You don't have compassion towards other human beings. See how the compassion I have shown, I was betrayed. Won't you help me as a fellow human being? The kiddies keep on asking, keep on demanding. Nobody is coming forward. So meanwhile, there is a sharpened, the rabbit, very brilliant rabbit, his own pet animal. So now it's a turn of, brilliant rabbit. Rabbit said, crocodile, will you leave my bhaiya? He's very sweet bhaiya. Yeah, after all, I'm his pet now. You just leave him. I will, you take me. You eat me. Come on, you leave my, benevolent brother. He took care of me very well. He's lovely guy. Let him be alive. You take me. You eat me. It's very brilliant rabbit. It started, bargaining. So, that what happened, na? So this, that crocodile, that had, that cunning mode. It's not only taking boy. Let's also taste this rabbit parallelly. It became ambitious. So what happened now? So it's promised you have to release the bhaiya. I will come. I will jump into your mouth. Come on, you release. I will immediately jump into your mouth so that you can eat me. You release him. But crocodile was keeping in mind that the moment rabbit that comes na, so it can also parallelly take that the rabbit also inside. What happened, right? The moment that the crocodile opened its mouth na, for the with view of the taking ultimately the rabbit na, by the time the boy got released, boy escaped. It's rabbit na, very swift animal. You might be small creature. It immediately jumped. Eh, ask, busk, whatever you call na, the childish language. You got cheated na. You try to cheat na. Come on, So, immediately what happened, a crocodile thought, you did, na, let me attack you with my, that ultimately tail. By the time, that it tried to, that move the tail, then only it realized the boy could remove only the nets from its mouth part. The boy is yet to release the whole net. The crocodiles, that the tail completely still under the net only. It could not. Anyway, boy got saved. Ultimately, that the rabbit also got saved. So, that, what happened, that's, so that, this boy immediately asked, oh, birds, come and see what this world, what is this? I try to help that, thankless, that the crocodile was about to eat me. What to do? So immediately, a bird sitting on, the top of the tree, see, this is what the world you have to understand. Because, we build our nest, we ultimately hatch eggs somewhere from the, that the snakes or eagle come and eat away. What to do? This is what the world, this is how you have to survive. There is no dharma, no formula. Here, survival of the fittest is the rule. So, that's the theory, that as from, the bird sitting on the top of a tree. So what happened, that this guy, somewhat, that he got satisfaction, he got saved, that from the crocodile, that both, the boy and, that the very rabbit was very happy and, heading towards back home to tell the story to, that his own parents. When he was heading towards his home, meanwhile, the boy has got, that another pet dog. The pet dog, what happened, right? The pet dog always having an eye over rabbit to eat that rabbit many times, but somewhat afraid of the master, the boy. So this time what happened, that when he is happy to tell the story to mother and father, he left, that the rabbit alone, that what happened, all of a sudden, his own pet dog, all of a sudden came and rushed towards, rabbit, captured and started eating. Now the story of rabbit is over. What you will do? Can you connect anything? Do you understand any logical connectivity here? See, the very rabbit saved the boy, but boy's pet dog killed now rabbit eaten away. This is what the world. There is no logical connectivity. There is no, that, so the formula, you can't connect everything by logical connectivity. So much of things happening. It is quite complex world. This is what Swami Sugabodhananda says in his, oh, Manase, relax please. Oh, mind, stay relaxed. Life is complex. You can't understand the meaning, that for each and every challenge thrown to you. Life is so complex, which throws up, many difficulties you have to understand. This is what life. There is no connectivity. One justice may not be justice for, so nothing is absolutely, fair. We are talking about that varies. Place to place, time to time. So it's full of complex, world what we are living in. This is what Buddhism also, throwing. Ultimately, life is complex, which throws up many difficulties. Don't try to understand everything. Rather, you discipline your mind. You discipline your mind. You practice. You understand the, the four noble truth and follow strictly adhere to, eightfold path, and attain, that nirvana for all your dukh sufferings. What is that reason? Attachment. Stay detached. Get liberated, reach nirvana, train your mind and practice, moderate path. That's what. So no single course of action is right in all circumstances. You understand? Na? This is what the principle of equity. It is not all are not equal. It is equity. You have to understand the unique problem on the part of section of population we are talking about. So instead of, speaking, right and wrong, Buddha speaks of being skillful, kushala, and unskillful, akushala. So it's not right and wrong we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's not right and wrong, rather skillful kushala and unskillful akushala. Do we understand? It is that way, we are talking about, and also take you to next level, that the very, that the preachings of Buddhism, you can also, you see various, interpretations of the Buddhism, of course, you take into account, but centered around similar truth. So that's what I say, that love everybody, show generosity, have contentment, speak truth, otherwise strictly adhere to truthfulness, otherwise mindfulness, temperance practice, that's what. So this is all called, do's list. prescriptive norms. And you can also speak other way of around, proscriptive norms, don'ts otherwise, not killing and causing harm to other living beings. And not taking the not given. Don't steal others' property. Don't take advantage of someone else's property. Don't exploit. One second. Don't exploit. And it is that way, that don't manipulate otherwise. Avoid sexual misconduct. Don't indulge in adultery, extramarital relationship. Don't exploit women. And avoid, that the false speech we're talking about. And that the slanderous speech and everything. And don't deceive people. And abstaining from drinks, intoxicant, the substances or drugs. The mindfulness, awareness. This is 5 precepts. You can speak in terms of don'ts or do's. So let me summarize this do's or don'ts. Maybe don'ts, that what is that? That you indulge in honesty, don't indulge in killing, don't lie, be honest, practice temperance, avoid sexual misconduct. You can, maybe proscriptive norms you are talking about, but be honest in the sense, that you talk about, that don't exploit somebody else's property like that. It is that way you can have. But the point is, I can also talk about prescriptive norms. The how to keep in your mind, LGBT community. That lesbian, gay sex, bisexual, transgender, you might be aware. LGBT community, you talk about the term transgender justice when you speak. But here I am talking about instead of LGBT, LGCTM. What is that? LGCTM, L for love, G for generosity, C for contentment, T for truthfulness, M for mindfulness. This is what the prescriptive norms. So the preachings of Buddha in 5 words together. The value system. It's other way of interpreting, the another way of interpreting the Buddhism we are talking about. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is time. Let me take you to the very quotes. The quotes I'm saying, that the quotes of Buddha, the root of suffering is attachment. That's the first quote, that be detached, you are free from suffering, you liberate yourself from dukh or suffering, attain nirvana. That's the first quote. You understood thoroughly. It's time to recall, the very essence of Buddhism in the name of quotes, because you get the questions like this. They ask you to interpret what's your meaning, what's your understanding based on the Buddha's quote, based on Buddha's teachings. That way, better than 1,000 hollow words, one word that brings peace. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Peace. Stay in peace. May the soul rest in peace. Not like that. Stay peace. Stay peaceful. Bliss. Ecstasy. We talk about it. Is that Buddha? See, all eloquence, psychophancy. Come on, throw away. The gossip, throw away. One word getting justified when it is capable of bringing peace. Just that way. Of course, that's, don't enter into competition, that the chatterbox, the religious competition, hate speech, throw away. Come on. I'm tired. Peace. Let me stay in peace, please. Audio mute. That way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So if you knew what I know about the power of giving, you would not let a single meal pass without sharing the same way. Share and care, love that comes out of care and care. We are talking about, that whatever may be, share and care. We are talking about. So nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts unguarded, because you become as you think. When you think you are strong, you are strong. When you think you are weak, you are weak. That's according to Swami Vivekananda. The same. The unguarded thoughts. Because, you might be aware. Thoughts leading to action. The action in the long run, becomes your, that of course you call, habits. Habits in the long run becomes your character. Character in the long run becomes your personality. Ennam bol vaalvu. Your thought decides, your attitude decides your altitude. Your character decides your altitude. When character goes, everything goes. So, the thoughts, you have to guard your thoughts. Thoughts are very important. Thought stays. Thought stays. The outcome of the thought is speech. தீயினால் சுட்டப்புண் உள்ளாரும் ஆறாதே நாவினால் சுட்டவடு. Even that fire burn, it will get cured. The words you used in hurting someone, the words after all outcome of the thoughts. You don't guard your thoughts, that leads to the language, the speech, and also action. At supply level, troubleshooting at the thought process level. So nothing can harm you as much as the thoughts unguarded. Before it harms someone else, the very thought, the very thought itself will, that harm you. You stay rich. So that's what Buddha, that take care of your thoughts. That's very important. Meditation brings wisdom, no doubt, a mature knowledge. Lack of meditation leaves ignorance. So meditate, discipline your mind, train your mind, and know well that leads to you, that leads you forward and holds you back. Whether it is, leading you forward or holding you back, and choose the path that leads to wisdom. Meditation leads to the path, that of course, wisdom, clarity, a good life, ethical life we are talking about. So that disciplines your mind. You might be aware. If anything is worth doing, do it with all your heart, complete involvement, complete devotion. We spoke already. This is, that I'm just, that recalling all those things we are talking about. This is fantastic. It's also appearing fantastic. That stays with you. Ladies and gentlemen, that this is 100% devotion in whatever you do. It has got its own outcome, no doubt. The soulful rendition we are talking about. And also, drop by drop is the water, that a pot is filled. Drop by drop, you fill the water, that you fill the pot. Likewise, the wise men gathering it little by little. Because you know very well, even Aristotle said, excellence is not an act, it's a habit, day by day. So drop by drop, as the pot collects the water, same way, a wise man, wise women, gathering in, little by little, and ultimately fills herself, fills himself with good. That way, that it's a long process. Enjoy your journey, enjoy your process. What's your process? Do you respect the process? Do you have the process? Respect the process. That's very important. It's a long-term process. It's not all of a sudden intermittent process. Three things cannot be long hidden. Three things cannot be: the sun, the moon, the truth. It is a natural entity. Of course, this is the truth, global entity, reality in life. Because the truth is truth, but you find different manifestations. That's why that don't lie. Don't lie. Practice truthfulness. Practice honesty, integrity. All these principles you derive out of it. You understand? It is that way. It is easy to see the fault in others, fault of others, but it is difficult to see one's own fault. Because when I try to, that finger point at you, pointing finger at you, there are already three fingers looking at me. I can't throw stone at others when I'm living in glass houses. Even one political party, opposition party, already done a lot of injustice to the democracy. What the credentials they have to accuse the ruling dispensation as a breach of democracy or anything? There are so many cases. It is very easy. It's very easy to curse the darkness, but rather you are supposed to light the candle. It's, it's better to light the candle instead of cursing the darkness. But that before finding fault at others, first of all, let us focus on us. What's our mistake? Have I done anything wrong? Have I hurted you by my words or by my deeds? By any means, please forgive me. Do you have the guts to, do you have the courage to say sorry? When you feel guilty for all of your actions and speech, then you are man of ethics, you are ethical man, you are ethical women. It's easy to find fault at others, but it is difficult to correct one's own fault. So don't throw stone at others when you are living in glass house. First, that be the change that you wish to see in the world. Mahatma Gandhi ji said. First, you practice. Later, you can think about preaching. Preaching is very easier. Practicing is very difficult. The moment you think about it, all your actions, your speech will get rationalized. That's what the spirit of Buddha we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Also take you. We are shaped by our thoughts. Once again, reinforcing, that ultimately we are socialized. All our actions, all our, the deeds, otherwise, all our, the speech, the language is the outcome of the thought. So we become what we think. You become, that's what even Swami Vivekananda says. When the mind is pure, the joy follows like a shadow that never, that leaves. Wherever you go, like Hutch dog, your shadow will come. When there is a light, not in darkness. As long as you are pure, definitely you will be enjoying peace, joy. Because by nature, you are the happiest person. You did so many things in the world to make yourself unhappy. As said by Swami Vivekananda, basically we are spiritual, that beings. We undergo human experience. We are shaped by our thoughts. They take care of your thoughts. Ultimately, it is that way. So to become what we think, we become what we think. When the mind is pure, the nature is pure. The nature of the mind is pure. We contaminated. So you can't escape from the joy. As you know that the shadow never leaves you, especially when there is a focus of light. We're talking about that way. So it's comparison. So don't look for sanctuary in anyone except yourself. Take sanctuary in you. Self-correction. Train your mind. Everything is inside. Why do you search outside? Everything is inside. இருக்கும் இடத்தை விட்டு இல்லாத இடம் தேடி எங்கெங்கோ அலைகிறாயே ஞானத்தங்கமே. You got everything in you. It's not outside in, inside out. Aladdin's lamp is inside. The moment you know that you scratch it, the great wonderful things will come. You understand? Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your intuition. And there should be perfect balance between heart and the very brain we are talking about. So do not look for sanctuary. So it is not outside. It's not someone else. Someone there is not responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your happiness through your thoughts. You decide everything to make the world beautiful or wonderful, or to make the world horrible or horror. It's in your hands. The approach, the perception with which you see, that goes with your thought process. Otherwise, you take asylum in you, sanctuary in you, not in somebody else's materials, somebody else's resources, somebody else's possession, somebody else's approval, somebody else's sanction. You are the master of your own destiny, not somebody else. Others may help you, because we have to understand, that we have to live amicably, because man is a social animal, as said by Aristotle. We understand we are not alone. But that begins from you. Be, the change that you wish to see in the world, the change from, you have to understand, take asylum in you, not in somebody else. Everything is inside out, not outside in. We're talking about, it is that way, and it is that way, the hatred doesn't cease by hatred. An eye for an eye it will make the whole world blind. So don't have that retaliatory politics, retaliatory tactics. That there is no solution. Don't try to defeat anybody. Try to win the hearts of everyone. But it is very difficult. That demands sacrifice, that demands passions, no doubt. But only by love you can win over those hatred people. And this is the external rule we are talking about. So what you have to do for others? Come on, be compassionate, show love. Love leads to acceptance. Accept as they are. Don't expect, you should have done that, no. You did that, no. You never end up. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. That. So ultimately what happens? Right now, love everybody. Love leads to acceptance. That acceptance, ultimately peaceful, amicable living. Then ultimately you celebrate. Then ultimately, that everybody participating in the contribution. The more happiness then. It's not tolerating anybody. Accepting as they are. That demands love. So hatred doesn't cease by hatred, but only by love. This is eternal, not external. I'm sorry. Eternal, long-lasting, eternal. Forever, we are talking about it is that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, so conquer the angry. That one by, that not getting angry. The same thing we are talking about. Don't react. Conquer the wicked. That when you try to, that the conquer, win over the angry person, you should not shout it again. Don't react, respond. Immediately say sorry. Tolerate. After that, otherwise accept first. So conquer the wicked by goodness. Just now we spoke. Conquer the stingy by generosity. And the liar by speaking the truth. Don't get, disturbed by the liar. Every day different stories I hear. Today this lie, tomorrow that lie, and after 1 month, as I said in the beginning, he will forget that lie and he will make you feel, what, Sampath, don't you know? And you have to watch those dramas only. Oh my God. Further, they've got justification, career growth. Further, they've got justification, bank balance. Further, they've got justification, they've got respect in the market. What market? What society? What society you build? Huh? You are already misled, that you are trying to mislead everybody. Oh my God, Kamarajar said, "Kuttaila urna mattange." So it is that way, that, so the liar by speaking the truth, we are talking about, you tackle the liar by speaking the truth. We are talking about health is, the greatest gift we are talking about, health. Suvar irundal dan sithiram, we are talking about. So let me take you. Yes. Health is the greatest gift, that too, given COVID situation, the impact ultimately. You should stay alive. Then only you can do many wonderful things. Take care of your health first. And now, second wave we are talking about. Of course, the COVID, the dry run, it's going on. You might be aware. So take care of your health first. The health is the gift. The God has given opportunity. The body is wonderful opportunity for you to add value to the soul. Who gave you authority? By destroying your body, you also parallelly destroy the soul. You do injustice to the very purpose. And contentment is the greatest wealth. Even, that the Western moral thinker says it is better to live with little by that honesty than live, that with greater resources with dishonesty. Contentment, the greatest contentment by, that living little with little resources. We're talking about, so health is the greatest. Suvar irundal dan sithiram. Only when you are alive, you can do something. That too, it's not, that a mobile dead body, like, that healthy. That you do yogasana, some meditation, minimum 45 minutes walk every day. That is stress free, so that, that you forget your body. Then you can focus on whatever you do. You're no way stopped. We are talking about that way. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. What is that? So, so I think, that this is enough, that we lengthen breadth, that we travel. I think, that some value system would have inspired you, I'm pretty sure. The quotes I want you to revise many a times possible, so that, you're capable of answering, you please go through. And more than this lecture, that I recommend some resources, so that, that takes you to the next level. That my humble attempt, that my session, that over this Buddhism, how this enriched the subject matter of ethics, that what I'm talking here in front of you, maybe my humble attempt, that becomes your base. Above that, you please go through other basic materials like lexicon, some Subbarao or Ramesh Arora, even for, that for ethics syllabus, whole syllabus I'm talking about, Second Administrative Reform Commission report for ethics, you please go through. And, the various thinkers, philosophers, social scientists and their contribution, and your understanding based on that, you're going to apply in, the so-called, the case studies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath, hitherto interacted with you. Hope I would have made your time worthwhile. That to the beginning, the prime time. Thanks for your passions. Hope you would have benefited more. Ladies and gentlemen, please use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum, 10% discount. What I'm talking about. Do you have any questions in your mind? Right? It is that way. That, ladies and gentlemen, that's fantastic. Let's meet tomorrow, same time, with another topic. That, of course, maybe even, that the very evening, 5 to 8, you got another session on ethics. Probably we'll be speaking more on ethics also. Please participate and benefit more. Also, please watch a lot of videos, my videos. As I told you, right, one of the most popular and highly scoring subject, the sociology, the variety of sessions, whether it is thinkers, the basic, the concept series, and even the various units of, the sociology, it's already available there, part of YouTube Unacademy. Please watch them, and you try to, type your questions there. I'll be very happy to answer. You can also reach me through social network using my ID, Success Sampath or Sampath Tirubengidam. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, I told you the variety of sessions meant for this ethics and integrity, you got there. And also, the essay, the people are writing, in another 1 hour, they are going to finish, essay writing. The people who cleared prelims, that the 2020, they are writing, that the main started today, you might be aware. And we have congratulated them in the beginning also for the rest of the exams also. They are going to finish, the main examination. Of course, especially the very essay paper, and lot of, the domain specific sessions I've done. And also, the checklist, you please watch them. And also, that the very, that international relations, several sessions handle. Even part of, having downloaded the app, you got variety of, that MCQ questions meant for the prelims. We have solved last 5-year questions. Please go through, watch them, and benefit more. And, that as I told you, right, many questions came from there, for this year also. That because of that feedback, we feel encouraged And we started, discussing the mains GS questions also. You please participate in that platform also. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also reach me through Telegram channel as Unacademy_Sampath. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciating your participation and involvement, that with almighty blessings of, that the almighty God, I would have made your time worthwhile, I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your passions and your involvement. Let's meet today evening again, 5 to 8, for another session. Thank you so much. Wishing you, that a fantastic day, the rest of the day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.